For your Hidalgo County Drainage District Board of Directors for today, October the 14th, 2014. Present are Commissioner Cuella, Precinct 1, Palacios, Precinct 2, Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Anybody sign up under open forum?
Monica? No, sir.
All right, on our consent agenda, any concerns?
No concerns, Judge.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4.
Under item 4, we have members here from Burt McCummert for the presentation acceptance of the independent audit report for the years ended December 31st, 2013.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Ricky Longoria. I'm a audit partner with Burton McCummert Cortez. I'm here to present for y'all's acceptance our audit report for the year ended December 31st, 2013. The report was put in front of you, I believe, just earlier today. There are 3 documents, and there are basically 3 documents that I believe you've been accustomed to receiving in the past. The bound audit report, of course, is there before you. Also, you'll see our management letter with comments and recommendations that were noted during the course of the audit, and also our governance letter, which is a required communication from the auditor to the board. Just a handful of things I want to go over with you all real quick. As it pertains to each one of these documents, the first one, of course, relates to the governance letter. Just a reminder, when you have an opportunity to please read, it kind of gives you a big overview as to what the accounting policies of the Drainage District were, any difficulties encountered during the course of the audit in terms of trying to complete the audit, any disagreements with management, and I can tell you certainly that we did not have any disagreements with management, and other confirmations as it pertains to the receipt of the management letter representations. So I know this is a letter you all are certainly familiar with in prior years and certainly with respect to the county. But again, this letter is before you all. Also, too, you have the management letter. The management letter basically just outlines any comments and observations we made during the course of the audit. We did have an opportunity to meet with the Drainage District management. We went over each comment. They have their responses to those comments included within this letter. I will tell you that the comments that are included don't rise to the level of a material weakness or even a reportable condition. They're just general observational type comments that certainly we'd like the Drainage District to consider. So those again are the 2 staple copies. Finally, and certainly not less important, is the actual bound audit report. I have about 3 comments with respect to the audit report. First and foremost, in terms of what the audit report letter says and what our opinion is, we continue to express an unmodified opinion. It used to be called an unqualified opinion. People are generally used to using the term a clean opinion with respect to the fairness of the presentation as it pertains to the audited financial statements. In all material respects, certainly the numbers that we look at are from a high level, big picture perspective. And so certainly the Drainage District continues to enjoy an unqualified opinion as it pertains to its financial statements. Also, too, in terms of where to look at with respect to maybe some of the significant items that occurred during the Drainage District during 2013, certain activities, certain projects, certain changes in terms of financial statement numbers. In the beginning of the audit report, there is what's called the MD&A analysis. And in a handful of pages, it goes through there and talks about changes within the Drainage District overall in terms of what their initiatives were during 2013. I also want to confirm that in terms of what the fund balance is for the Drainage District, the Drainage District fund balance as presented in the audit report is approximately $14 million, which is really a very healthy fund balance. In fact, it almost, although not quite, but almost equates to a full year's worth of expenditures should something catastrophic should happen. From a fund balance perspective, the Drainage District enjoys a very healthy position. Overall, in 2013, there were more expenditures than they were in 2012, primarily to the fact that I believe there was approximately 12 to 13 new positions that were opened And so certainly you have the cost of those new positions as well as any equipment necessary to make sure that those folks are actively involved in the maintenance of the district. Finally, certainly the biggest transaction that occurred in 2013 related to the bond series 2013 amount. It was a bond series that was approved by the voters, and the district received approximately $75 million in proceeds from those bond monies, and has started putting those bond monies to work in terms of making sure that the system has the assets that it needs to ensure that the citizens of Hidalgo County are safe in terms of drainage. Just overall, capital asset additions were $30 million. Some of the larger projects that you all undertook, I know you all purchased the Aguilar Pond from Precinct 4 for about $10 million. Also, you've continued to spend money on the Raymondville Drain of about 5.5 and the Mission Inlet of about 1.5. And so those really are the big picture narratives with respect to the audit report. Again, it is an unqualified opinion, consistent with the report letters that have been presented in the past. And other than that, I'll entertain any questions you all may have.
Are there any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Item 5.
Item 5, acceptance and approval of grant agreement between Texas Water Development Board, TWDB, and Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1, excuse me, and approval and authorization for Chair of the Board of Directors to execute Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1 authorized representative agreement executive resolution. Let me give you a little bit of history on this particular item. We've been working, or the district has been working on the Rainbow Drain for probably 12, 13 years. We've been moving forward through assistance from the federal government with the Corps of Engineers, plus our local bond issuance, and moving the project forward. We were able, with assistance of some of our legislature, to get some language built up at the state level to try to put some money associated with regional projects. We were successful in that project, in which we were able to get up to $10 million from the Texas Water Development Board to be put into this grant that came into the legislature. We applied for this grant. We were successful in getting the first part of it, which is all the money that they had at the state for this project of $5.9 million. So that is money that came in from the state through the efforts of this community and the efforts that we've been putting forward on
Is
the
that
government.
a 5.5 or
$5.9 million. And it's the first part of $10 million. We were the only county that applied and the only county that got all of the money associated with it. I think it's very instrumental in moving this project forward because it starts getting us close to or at the matching that we needed to get this federal project moving forward. It's been a long-term project, but it shows the efforts of the community being recognized up at the state level to get monies back to us in the expenditures that we have, because it's not just for Hidalgo County, it provides protection also for the Willacy County and continue supporting the growth that we have in here. We presented a chart to this board on moving the Raymondville Drain project forward about 6 months ago. This is going to be an integral part of continuing with that project moving out. We keep the board informed of where we're at, but again, this is free money coming to us. It's a grant. It's going to be hopefully a total of $10 million, up to $10 million. This first chunk was 5.9. We're the only county that received the money, the only county that applied for the money. This was all integral in also all the work that was done in the levee areas to move this project forward. I think it speaks highly of the community and the state allowing us to apply and receive this money.
Godfrey, if I may, I'd like to give commendation, obviously, to your office. I know we've had legislators working on it. I do want to give commendation to our senator's office, Senator Chuy Hinojosa, as well as those. I know SMB was integral in securing a lot of lobbying for this. It's a step in the right direction when, of recent, in the last few years, we went after bond dollars and we committed to the general public that we were going to go out there and do everything we can possibly do to secure free money.
Yes, sir.
And this is the first of its kind, and I just want to make sure that from my part, I give commendation to the hard work that you and the consultants have done to be able to secure this kind of funding and future funding.
Commissioner, I appreciate that on behalf of my staff and the consultants, but again, it also speaks highly of our elected officials and the taxpayers of the community, seeing that this is a critical project for the continued growth of our area. I think it's an important first step. I think it's another cog in the wheel, or another piece of the puzzle, putting this whole program together. It's a long-term project, but I think it's very important to understand that $5.9 million of state money free going towards our project is very, very good for the community.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously.
May I continue, Judge?
Yes, sir.
Under item 6, requesting approval to purchase one John Deere X300 tractor from John Deere Company through the district membership was TX Smart Buy contract number TXMAS 751V050 in the amount of $2,458.02. This is a tractor for shredding and maintenance there at the yards.
It's a small tractor.
Yes, sir, it's
Yeah.
one of the yard tractors.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under 2013 Bond Series, item B, requesting approval to accept bid and approval to execute contract with the lowest bidder meeting all specified requirements for RFB number HCDD114-027-1008, civil site improvements for North Main Drain, Weir number 1 to Foremost Paving, Inc., in the amount of $247,795. This again is one of the bond projects associated with the Weir repairs.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Got
Yes, sir.
what's the projected time involved in this?
If we do not have problem on delivery of materials, which is what we've been having, I would say 90 to 120 days for completion, sir.
The pipe,
No, this one is rock riprap, and again, trying to bring the materials in if we have issues crossing it over here and getting it delivered to the site. We're finding out that the issue that we have is, one is getting bidders, and we're starting to see a lot of bidders hesitant because if we put their projects on hold, their bonds are going to be held until the material comes in. So what could be a 3-month project could turn into a 9-month project because of delivery of materials. Item C, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 2 to work authorization number 1 to agreement professional services precinct 2 rural drainage development with R. Gutierrez Engineering, Inc. as an increase of right-of-way survey parcel by 1, increase amount is $2,750. Again, as a project development, we have one more parcel that needs to get surveyed for the land acquisition part.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item D, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 3 to agreement professional services precinct 1, 2012 bond, should be 2013 bond referendum improvement project with TEDSI Infrastructure to identify additional work classification associated rates, no amount associated with the supplemental. What this does is just a clarification of having an EIT in there so they can be able to charge against that EIT. It's listed, but it was not a supplemental.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item E, request approval of supplemental agreement number 1 to work authorization number 10 to agreement professional services precinct 1, 2012 bond referendum improvement project with TEDSI Infrastructure to clarify classification slot EIT, all fees will remain the same, and to add the firm for right-of-way services.
move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item F, requesting approval of supplemental agreement number 3 to work authorization number 13 to agreement professional services precinct 1, 2012 bond referendum improvement project, Delta Watershed Project with TEDSI Infrastructure for the additional subsurface borings, increasing the amount of $140,895. We're starting to narrow down the area where this reservoir is going to be built, and as we start narrowing down, we need to do additional underground or geotechnical services for the classification of the clay. So these are the additional borings to meet the criteria.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item number 7, it's not under the 2000 bond series, it was not posted in properly, but it's requesting approval to advertise for RFB number HCDD114-029-1029, Pueblo de Palmas drainage improvements. This is mostly in your precinct, Commissioner Flores, way up on the north side, where we're going to be bidding out the widening of that channel that ties into the master plan that was approved by the precinct.
Move for
But it's
approval.
not a bond series.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item B, requesting approval to advertise RFB number HCDD114-031-1113, Precinct 1, Rural Drainage Development, Spanish Palm Subdivision. This is one of the projects in your precinct, Commissioner Cuellar, to get it out in the bidding process.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item A, request approval of change order number 2 for the construction project 130300107 Edinburgh wastewater treatment plant effluent line and crossing. Item is needed for reduction in quantity of dewatering. It's a reduction of $8,000. This is the process that was utilized to reevaluate the dewatering. Not the full dewatering was required in it, so we have a reduction in that change order.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 9, 2013 bond series, requesting approval of change order number 1 with GP7 Construction that relates to construction contract HCDD 113-021-04-29A, Precinct 2, FM 495, Trent Road, Field Crossing, increase in the amount of $2,996. This was for an additional field drain that was installed out there, Commissioner, that needed to be placed in there.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Requesting approval of change order number 2 was FJW Construction LLC as it relates to construction contract number HCDD 113-023-1119C, J09 Drainage Improvements Phase 1 construction to decrease in the amount of $3,000. This is related to riprap that we're going to be doing in-house, where the field drains come in instead of having the contractor do it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 10, request approval of budget amendment for the district's general fund in the amount of $161,000 for funding of employee health insurance for the remainder of the year. As you're aware, we brought in employees in this fiscal year that we did not have budgeted for last fiscal year. This is the cost of meeting the insurance requirements for those individuals that were employed by the district.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 11, request approval to issue payment for invoice 1068 in the amount of $181.45 to Allied Aggregate LLC for 7.29 tons bedding rock material provided in excess to the approved amount of PO 625001. When we request a PO for a project, we give it an estimate of how much tonnage we're going to need. The project was being developed, it was for a head wall structure or riprap. When the final project was completed, we had about 7 tons of additional rock that we needed. So the PO didn't cover it, so it is a claim to cover the additional rock riprap that was utilized on it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We have no item under closed session. The board wishes to entertain them.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we're going to convene our regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court for today, October the 14th, 2014. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for family. We thank you for the opportunity to live in a free country. We ask you to bless everyone today gathered here to do good for the county and hopefully to help many, many people. We ask you also, dear Lord, to ask special blessings on the healthcare workers who work with these diseases that are so dangerous. We also want to thank you again for everything that you give us, dear Lord. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Any concerns with the consent agenda, Mr. Ofracio?
I don't have any concerns, Judge. What? If, I do not have any concerns.
Move for approval.
Unless someone else
Report
has any.
Second.
Recommend approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, the first item, we're going to be taking up item number 6 under the County Judge's Office, item 6A, the acceptance of the resignation of JP Precinct 3, Place 2, Mr. Jose Ismael Melo Ochoa. We received a notice of his intent to, of his declaration of resignation of that particular office, that term, which still has about 2.5 months left on it. It's now before this court as to whether or not to accept it. Are there any questions?
No, sir. Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now it becomes incumbent on us to fill that vacancy by appointing an interim, well, a JP to fill out the rest of the term, which will expire on December the 31st of 2014.
Okay. My motion will be to appoint Marcos Ochoa, Mayor
Second.
Benitez.
All right, since the vacancy is out of Precinct 3, the Precinct 3 Commissioner has nominated Mr. Marcos Ochoa. Presently, he is the mayor.
Wait a minute, Steve, is there any problem with that?
There could be a problem there.
Well, he hasn't he hadn't taken the office yet.
He hasn't taken the office, but he cannot take the office until he's resigned. His
I know, he's
successor-
going to resign
Okay.
when he was filling out the bond.
Okay.
All right. No, if you appoint anybody, it doesn't have to be anybody with a past JP experience, right?
No, it does not.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Steve, is there an issue with dual office?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
A what?
Dual office, he's going to occupy.
He's gonna resign.
a different office.
He's going to resign as he takes his oath.
Well, he'd have to resign before he takes the oath and gives us the bond. He would have to resign, and his successor would have to be appointed before he could take this office.
All right. We have a motion and a second to appoint Mayor Marcos Ochoa of the city of Peñitas to fill the position of Precinct 3, Place 2, Justice of the Peace. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now, the next item is the approval of the official's bond.
Again, Steve, is it okay for court to appoint someone when the individual's still in office?
If it's a non-paying position, Steve,
Well, as long as he doesn't take the oath or bond until his successor is appointed in his previous office, that would be okay.
Guys,
Well, you
I'm
can
trying
get-
to take it a step at a time.
okay, hold on.
Yeah, he can resign and then get.
I now have in my possession a copy of the letter of resignation that Mayor Marcos Ochoa submitted to the Peñitas City Council this morning prior to this meeting commencing, and wherein it states that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court will have a meeting today at 9:30 a.m., at which time there is an item on the agenda for consideration of acceptance of the resignation of Justice of the Peace, Jose Ismael Melo Ochoa, and appointment of his replacement for the Precinct 3, Place 2 JP position. I am being considered for the appointment, and if selected, I will accept the position. Since the City of Peñitas City Charter Section 205 prohibits city elected officials from holding two elected positions, I hereby submit this as my official notice of resignation from the position of the City of Peñitas Mayor. This resignation shall be subject to my appointment as Precinct 3, Place 2 Justice of the Peace, and shall be effective immediately upon my appointment. Respectfully, Marcos Ochoa. I believe the mayor is here. Mayor, would you please step forward? Did I read it correctly?
Yes, sir.
And is that your intent?
Yes, sir, that's my
And
intent.
have you then therefore have already submitted and have resigned your position as mayor of the city of Peñitas
Yes, sir.
and are ready to take on the position of Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3, Place 2 of this county?
Yes, sir, I am.
Now we go to the issue of the bond, the official's bond. Balde?
With respect to what Mr. Crane said, the bond is in the amount, the bond would have to be in the amount of $5,000, no more than $5,000, made payable to the county judge. And as Mr. Crane said, prior to any more action being taken, we would have to have a bond secured and presented to the court
Right.
for the court's acceptance before any action be taken on
You were
on the
supposed
bond
to
itself.
get the forms in place.
There is a company that, there are several bonding companies out there that we deal with. There is one here in Edinburgh that we could go to.
Well, can you send someone to go with the
Yes,
mayor?
Judge, but I believe he needs to, you cannot accept the bond, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, until a replacement is named for his current position.
That is correct, because under the Texas Constitution, his successor has to be appointed before he can take
So
the
what if
oath.
there's a mayor pro tem?
The city council still has to replace him under the holdover statute before he can take the oath or execute the bond.
Even if it's a non-paying position?
Well, with that being said, there's nothing that precludes him from securing a bond today. It's just that the action by the court cannot be taken until this other action is taken by the city.
You approve subject to?
No.
No?
But then, now, you're saying that he can go and secure a bond?
Sure.
And the county pay for it at this point?
The county will not pay for it at this point.
All right.
But what I'm saying is, there's nothing that precludes the mayor from securing a bond today, but action by the court is obviously not going to be taken until this other action is taken by the city, so that the court is now then able to take action on the bond, and then the mayor, at that point, would be able to take his oath of office.
Yesterday, you were going to be going with him and working out the matter of the bond.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We have several bonding companies that we deal with, but again, I looked up the information. Again, it's a $5,000 bond made payable to the
Alden.
county judge.
In plain English, can we take any action on this?
With respect to the bond, right now, no, sir. According to what, as per what Mr. Crane just said with respect to the dual office holdership. So until the city takes action, the court can't take any action on approving the bond.
Mayor, we're going to have to look at this issue a little more. If I don't mind, hope you don't mind waiting. We're going to take care of the rest of this, and we're going to have someone call the Secretary of State in the meantime.
Okay.
Valde, and I believe that bond is to be filed with the county clerk
Yeah.
before the court takes action.
Right. But that, again, that's just, that's a process.
So I just want to make sure it's for the
Right,
record
no,
that it's
I
to be done
understand.
that way.
Jaime?
All right, then we'll come back to that particular item. I'm moving on to item 25A1. I've been requested. That would be Project Vida's item.
Esa ve toda la gente de...
Who's gonna say it?
Should be said.
I hope they don't take my truck. I had parked it on the side of the road. It says no parking. There's no parking space.
They make that.
There was no parking. I was waiting for them to leave the dual car. There was no parking space. Huh?
What page is it on? Okay. Who's here from the budget?
Do it in the middle. I'd like to introduce a couple of students. Okay. Share a story.
All right. We have item 25A, discussion.
Que synopsis of what we're about.
All right, you want to...
So, introduce the students, and then you come back on after they're done? Yes.
Morning.
Yes.
Find a parking space, so I parked where it says no parking. I hope they don't take my truck.
It will.
They will probably. No, yeah, parking space. I went around 4 or 5 times. Eh?
Eso que no pagan, ¿verdad?
They have.
You're going to be next.
Shall we begin? Are we? We're going to discuss it. The last-
Brenda Joseph.
Ken?
Trying to get our budget office. No, I'm here, Judge.
I didn't see you walking in.
Sorry about that, Judge.
Sneaky.
All right. Sergio, we're moving on to budget. Item number 25A.
Oh, excuse me.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action on funding request by Valley Initiative for Development and Advancement, Project VIDA.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners, Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Judge, during the past couple of years, we have been funding VIDA annually at roughly the amount of $250,000. We had an agreement with VIDA regarding that contribution. For this fiscal year, the county budgeted $187,500 for fiscal year 2014. In April of this year, the agreement expired, and in drafting the new agreement for the next fiscal year, there was an attorney general letter opinion that basically stated that the county could not contribute funds for this type of activity. Since then, the county has not contributed we did not execute the new agreement, and henceforth we haven't contributed funds to VIDA. I think there's approximately $117,000 that's was earmarked for this that still needed to be paid out. However, again, because of that Attorney General letter opinion, the county has not been able to find the mechanism in which to be able to contribute this amount.
Now, we made a commitment to them for prior years that we have not fully honored. Am I correct?
No, for VIDA, we've paid $250, I think, almost every year for the last couple of fiscal years.
Well, I was told by members of the organization that they were still lacking some funds. I'm not sure. Do you remember exactly how much money is still owed?
Judge, if you don't mind, in 2013, the county paid $249,999.83. Fiscal year 2012, the county paid $249,999.96. Fiscal year 2011, the county paid $256,623.60. During this past couple of years, we have been meeting our commitment. This is the first year that we budgeted $187,500. We did pay out $70,138.95 for the first roughly about 4.5 months. And since then, the county has not been able to pay because of that letter opinion stating that we cannot contribute.
So how much do we owe but for that opinion?
Roughly about $117,000. It's a little bit more than that.
Sergio, I know we sent the Valley Interfaith, or VIDA, a letter of award. I think we do
Correct.
it traditionally when we adopt the budget, that they are entitled to, I believe it was
$187,500.
Where does that leave us if we've given them a letter of award of a total amount of dollars for this year's funding? Obviously, I've met with the organization as well, and the way, they operate like no other, just like every other business, where when they're anticipating an allotment of monies, they went ahead and continued their programming for the entire year. So I can understand the constraints it poses on VIDA, where the county's given them notification of an award of an amount, and that's what concerns me
Yes.
on the onset.
We did notify VIDA that we had budgeted $187,500 for fiscal year 2014. However, the mechanism in which we were paying this was via an agreement that we had with VIDA. That expired April of this year, and since then, we haven't been able to find the statutory authority to be able to pay this. And I understand the situation that it puts VIDA in. However, legally, we don't have that authority to pay that money, and as such, the auditor won't be able to pay it, and we can't recommend to the court to issue a check to them having no authority to do so.
Sergio, do you have a letter of opinion number?
Yes.
Judge, can we offer, I know I met with the organization yesterday, and I know they were looking into the matter of whether or not a county is able to fund VIDA, and I know that they've done extensive research. The other question that I posed to Sergio was, in fact, what would allow us to continue on and honor, I guess it's the governmental code that at this point, we're in conflict with, right?
Correct.
So what, in fact, could we do to reinstate funding at a future date and be in compliance to the government code?
Yeah, in reading through the code, basically, the county can set up programs for economic development, which this is. Again, however, this is not, VIDA is not a county program. We're just contributing, we were contributing money into a nonprofit program. The county would have to establish a similar program under the county's authority, and then we can contract out for somebody to do that. That would probably the only way that I can see that we would be able to do it. However, I'm not sure of legal counsel or the civil litigation division from the county has been able to look at other avenues. In my opinion, that probably would be the only way that we would be able to do this.
Sergio?
Yes.
But the county provides funds to other economic development corporations.
Yes.
So you're saying those payments are also not complying with the statute?
It depends on what other economic development corporations. I know we pay membership dues
Okay. Yeah, the membership dues
to
the-
economic development corporations, but again, it's not a contribution
directly?
for the program, it's membership dues.
Okay.
The county is, there is a statute that allows the county to pay for membership dues
Yeah.
if it does benefit a county purpose.
Yeah, that
That's
is
the
true.
authority that we use for that.
And that is true, those are membership dues to that economic.
Yes, I believe
development
it's
corporation.
Hidalgo County, it's a regional economic development group
Right.
that also has members from the city's economic development corporations. They're also membership, and the county does participate
So
in
what
that
do
as
you
well.
need to do to go ahead and give them the 117 that we owe them for right now?
But I think we just need
I don't
to,
think you can do it by statute, you cannot provide those funds.
I don't believe we can do
We
it.
already gave them part of it.
we've, already- that's
We already-
correct.
The way we've been doing it, we can't use that same avenue. We would have to, again, establish a program within the county, and then I would think put it out for bid. I'm not sure whether this would be
How
able to be
quick-
exempted or
How
not.
quick can that be done?
Excuse
How
me?
quick can it be done?
Again, given that we already have a template for the program, I think it'd just be a matter of us introducing it to court, getting that program approved, and then I guess I would need to research as far as the procurement of those services. The county's not going to do it in-house. We're going to contract it out.
We've already voted to give them that 187.
That is correct.
We've given a partial amount. We owe them 117, but that action has already been taken. It's already was budgeted.
Yes.
Action taken.
That is,
The only
that is,
thing left was to cut the check.
that is correct.
Now, as far as any other future amounts, that's where the legal concern comes into play, because we have facing us a legal opinion saying there is no authority to grant money to VIDA under Chapter 381, and there's a problem and we can't do it. So for any future amounts, we may have to take more time in trying to figure out if we're going to be able to. But as far as the money that we've already acted on, they're entitled to get it and should get it.
Judge, again, the money that the court acted on was the budget for these types of programs. The avenue in which we would pay it out would be the agreement that we had with VIDA. That expired April of this year. And the agreement was basically from April of last year to April of this year, designating a $250,000 contribution. That has since been met.
But
That contract
Sergio,
has been met.
We must have voted, if we gave them 40 or whatever amount we
Yes.
gave them,
Yeah.
The court
some
did.
action was taken.
That is correct.
Is
The
there
court
any
did.
other organization similar to this that any other county has in the state of Texas that we can follow what they're doing?
I have not researched any other organizations. I know there was some chambers of commerce that I think this is what the opinion mentioned, that they
Sergio,
were not able to do
I
that.
think real simple. I think the will of the court is to find a way, a
Correct.
legal way to assure that we reinstate the funding that we obligated ourselves to at the beginning of the year. Second of all, to provide a solution for oncoming years where we don't run into this problem anymore, because we're advocates of what they're doing.
I think if we
They're
promised this
educating-
money already, I think we should pay it and then, start working on it for the next go-round.
Commissioner, but if the law doesn't allow you to do that, I cannot issue payment.
Urban county money.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
There is a
It has to come out
possibility.
of
So-
somebody's
We've
pocket,
talked about that in the past.
not
I
out
know-
of the county funds.
This was posed
Commissioner
before.
Palacios and Commissioner Palacios are thinking about possibly using urban county monies.
I think it could be, and I visited with Myra Garcia in the past on this issue, on where we looked at potentially allotting more funding. I think there's a restriction of use where they can use some of the funding for some of their programming, but it would not be for the entirety of their programming. And I don't know for sure, but it's one of the things we need to research.
Is Diana
Judge.
there? Maybe Diana can tell us.
Yeah, I know Diana's in the audience, and it's one of those things that we should possibly look at.
There she comes.
I think you can see that the consensus is to get involved and do it again. And I feel like the consensus will be to honor the commitment we have previously made and give you the balance of 117,000.
Diana, can it
Any
be done?
future monies, we need to figure out a way of how we can do it.
Yes, Commissioner.
Can it be done? Through Urban County?
Urban County has provided funding to VIDA in the past, and our last experience was that we had to return money to the federal government because it wasn't spent, because we have too many rules.
Because it
Okay.
was not spent,
Correct.
but you gave it to them.
We gave it to them, they didn't spend it.
Judge, I think the issue is in regards to their programming, and this is where we had a discussion at length of the usage of the federal dollars for some of their programming, where they're needing the dollars are on some of the other educational components that Urban County cannot fund. And I'm speaking out of the cuff.
Okay.
It was discussions that we had about a year or two ago, but it's one of the things we need to research, Judge, just to get a better
We're not going to do it this
better
morning.
idea.
This morning, the only thing we can do is act on giving you the balance, the 117,000.
That's my motion.
Second.
Judge, as I indicated.
You want to make a statement? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
With respect to the funding, thank you for the opportunity, Judge, Commissioners. I wanted to be able to speak to the funding. With a balance due, I believe, of 187, it's been implied that we received 70,000, and we did receive 70,000 in a previous contract that has come to term in April, just like your budget person indicated, that the contract ended in April.
We do have a motion to give you that balance. We have a motion and a second. We're about to act on it.
The 187?
Yeah,
Okay.
on the balance of the 187.
All right.
Judge,
What-
Yes.
The total balance should be 187, not 117.
Well, we've given you a partial amount.
No, that's what I'm getting at, Judge, is that 70,000 that was implied was given to us in a previous contract that had termed out. We provided the service. It ended in April. The 187 started a new contract. That's what we were in discussion with.
So we owe you from a prior year, a balance?
No, the prior year was paid off and ended in April. And those 4 months
So we all-
is the 70,000 that is being discussed, that had already, services had already been provided, and that contract ended in April.
he's saying that within interim.
Thank you.
It expired, we have-
Can you explain that, Sergio? Respond to that?
Basically, we budget in a calendar year. We budget from January through December. We would budget 250,000 per fiscal year, per county's fiscal year. For the 2014 fiscal year, the county, we budgeted 187,000. However, the contract that when we first started in 2009, the contract started, I think, mid-April. So basically, the contract was 250,000, and it's been running like that. The contract that ended this April was a $250,000 contract. However, for the county's fiscal year, part of that money that was paid for that contract was eating into the 187. That's all the county budgeted for this fiscal year. Again, next fiscal year, we budgeted 125,000.
So instead of 117, what do we owe?
Again, based on our budget, the budget that we had, it's 117,000. Again, we don't have a new contract, so the money that was in the budget that we have left was $117,000. There is no new contract. The contract would be for whatever the amount the county decides to appropriate at that
But
point.
for right now, we got to give them 117.
117 is based on the commitment that we had made based on our budget.
All right, we have a motion and a
Judge,
second.
But, Judge, again.
Go, one more comment, go ahead.
Again, I just want to make sure for the record that if the law doesn't allow you to pay those monies out, I'm not going to be able to issue a check. Just for the record.
But you already issued one before.
But it was, if it was.
Several years.
If it was not done in accordance with the law, then it was made an
But
error.
if it
But what I'm
was-
saying, now that I know, if it's a legal opinion, and I think even the attorney, district attorney's office had issued an opinion to
Steve.
the effect, Judge.
Can you find a way to take care of this for us?
Judge, may I respond, Your Honor?
Yes,
May I respond just briefly?
yeah, go ahead.
With regards to this issue, I know that there's a letter of opinion by the Attorney General's office, and I don't know if you have a copy of that specific letter, which I do here, and a copy has been given to you, sir. It's a 1998 opinion, sir. This 1998 opinion basically addresses the Commissioner's Court to provide funds to small business development centers. We are not a small business development center, number one. The second thing is, it's a 1998 opinion. We as an organization, a nonprofit, have been funded by this county since 2009. This letter has not been brought up since 2009. We have been provided funds of $250,000 a year for the past 5 years, of which we've graduated over the past years since the inception of the organization, 7,500 students with an average salary of $40,000 a year. By cutting 25% of this budget, the $63,000, we have eliminated or not able to graduate 43 students, which equates to $1.5 million a year in salaries that are earned by these students. In essence, what's happening here is you're cutting a budget of individuals that are making money and giving back to this county by way of taxes, et cetera. Now, in addition to that,
we really like your program. We've funded it for the last 5 years. We would like to keep on funding it. At least that's what I believe the consensus is. The issue is real clear on the issue of the legality of it. And that's where we need to work out some kind of a way of being able to do it without violating any opinion issued by either our lawyer here or the AG's office.
I understand that, Your Honor. And one last thing. We also got a letter from Representative Terry Canales, which indicates that according to his investigation and talking with the attorneys with the Texas Legislative Council, the legal arm of the Texas Legislature, that they do not agree with the assessment of the Hidalgo County's legal counsel in addition to this Attorney General opinion. And we, I think, giving you a copy of this letter.
But as a lawyer, you know that has no legal effect. I mean, we're bound by the Attorney General, whatever, or a local lawyer or the Attorney General.
Judge,
As a body, that's how we have to respond and react to it.
Judge, I got a simple question, and maybe Sergio or someone can tell me the difference. In the past, we had an agreement to help fund the medical school, of which the county was going to give an allotment of dollars. What makes this different, Sergio?
Again, for the medical school, we have a memorandum of understanding. In order for us to make that contribution to the medical school, we have to then again either have another 381 agreement, which hasn't been brought to court, needs to be brought to court to be able to do that, or another agreement via the Health and Safety Code. We have to either fit that contribution into one of these two.
Okay.
And that still hasn't been brought to court. So once that gets done and that gets resolved, right now I'm not sure how we plan on doing it as far as to do that contribution. We do have a memorandum of understanding, but we still need to bring another agreement, which was in the memorandum of understanding.
So in short, there's a methodology that we can build upon
Yes.
to be able to do this.
Again, basically the statute says that we can contribute for economic development. I don't think, the support of the program, I think, has been here from the court and I think from staff, except in light of having.
Steve, lay it out step by step. What is it that needs to happen?
There's a number of different avenues.
Well, what do you suggest in
One
order for us
is-
to be able to do it?
One is to obtain an opinion from the Attorney General's office.
Well, that'll take many
Updating the
months.
98 opinion. The other is a legislative change to Chapter 381.
That'll take another session.
That'll take the session that begins in January. Or we look at different methods of funding, such as incentives that we could give VITA that could fit under various statutes. That's the only three that we've come up with so far.
Well, maybe we could delay it until our next meeting and see if we can do it all at the same time.
That's a possibility.
Now, our intent, as I believe you can see, is to get involved and go ahead and grant and honor the commitment we have made and keep on funding you for another year. But because of the legal issue that has come up, we need to figure out a way where we can do it legally. And it's going to take us at least another meeting, between now and another meeting, to work that out. And we apologize for any problems that this delay may be causing your financing, your administration, your budgeting, but we can vote on it. We got a motion and a second, and you're not going to get a check because the person that authorizes the cutting of the checks is the auditor. He's telling you on the record, telling us, you can vote all day long, but I'm not, until I see something different. That letter is going to tell me from the AG the opinion, and the letter from our local lawyer, letter opinion, is telling me that I cannot cut you the check and I'm not going to do it. That's his opinion. So we need to work out a way in which we're going to be able to do it. Father, did you want to say something?
Yes.
You're getting closer and closer to the mic.
You are an attorney, Judge. What do you recommend? How can we do this legally?
Well, I don't know.
In
That's
addition
why
to
we're
that,
going to need some time to work it out.
May I just add a little bit to that? Is Attorney General's 1998, or when was it? 98. Is that binding here so much later when the counsel to the Texas legislature, a very conservative group, has a counter opinion, says that this can be done legally from his perspective?
Father, give us an opportunity between now and the next meeting, and we're going to work on trying to figure out a way that we can legally do it, because if we're able to do that, then we're not just going to be acting on the 117, but we're also going to be acting on this respective year.
So you're going to try to find a way for us to do this legally so we can reinstate the $250,000 a year commitment on into the future.
Well, we haven't acted on it, but that's what our next step will be to consider. But I mean, you can see the consensus of the commissioners, and I'm sure you'll be here to remind us. All right, well, thank you very much, and I'm sorry about the delay. Oh, we need to withdraw our motion, and withdraw the second, and withdraw the motion.
Withdraw.
Okay. Thank you, Sergio. We'll get back to you promptly. At this time, item number 6D, as in David.
Did you get a text I just sent you?
Yes.
Dr. Guajardo?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Our next item after this will be the Rudy Silva School.
Judge, under item 6D, we have a presentation by Dr. Francisco Guajardo, PhD, in observance of Hispanic Heritage Month.
All right, as you know, today, many of us are wearing pink because of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Some of us are wearing purple because of Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, but it's also Hispanic Heritage Month. Our community is approximately 90% plus Hispanic, and we felt it would be appropriate to have someone come in and make a presentation on that particular issue. And with us here today, we have Dr. Francisco Guajardo, a PhD, who is a professor at the University of Texas, RGV.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you to the court for the invitation. I'm sorry to say, Judge, that I do have a meeting coming up at the university, and so I'm going to have to kind of abbreviate my commentary, if you don't mind, but I'll try to do it justice. So the issue of the Hispanic Heritage Month, as you see on the screen, this is 1 month that the federal government has designated by law that the country look at the Hispanic contributions of Hispanic people to this country. And so I want to do a little bit here in explaining how this happened. So you as a Commissioner's Court, of course, understand and completely appreciate political negotiation, which is exactly how this happened. In the 1960s, there's actually a story here. In the 1960s, during the height of the Civil Rights Movement, President Kennedy and the federal government were paying a lot of attention to the African-American part of the Civil Rights Movement. And a number of Hispanic leaders actually said, you know, federal government, you need to pay a little bit more attention to to the issues of the Hispanic community. And so President Lyndon Baines Johnson actually did something about this. So he led the effort, and you see the photograph here, Congressman Henry B. Gonzalez, who you may recall, and other leaders came to the White House to figure this out. And so President Johnson, who, as you may know, had some deep roots in understanding Hispanic culture, because LBJ, when he was at Southwest Texas Teachers College in the late 1920s, he went there to become a teacher. The only president, by the way, in the history of the United States who actually went to a public university. So LBJ left Southwest Texas Teachers College to become the teacher and a principal at the Mexican school in Cotula, Texas. And you see the image here in 1928. It was a formative year for LBJ, and he actually cited this one year in 1928 when he was teaching Mexican children who didn't know English, and he didn't know any Spanish. So he figured out a way to teach these children. He figured out a way to build relationships with parents. And he realized above all, because this was a white man from Central Texas who did not have a whole lot of exposure to Mexican people, he figured out that these kids were actually smart kids. These kids cared about things. Their parents cared about their children, and their parents wanted their children to do well in school. So LBJ's life was transformed in 1928. So when we see the images here in 1968, and we see the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and we see the Voting Rights Act of 65, we see that a lot of this, the genesis for LBJ at least, happened during that one year in that schoolhouse. So there are obviously other origins of Hispanic heritage, clearly. And so there's pre-1968, obviously. So we can actually point to when Columbus, sailed across the Atlantic. And so he had several voyages. In 1492 was his first one, as I think we're all taught in grade school. But when Columbus came, and this is an image here that Congress commissioned in the 1840s. Congress commissioned this neoclassical kind of artist, an American, and some of you may recognize this. This is actually in the Rotunda in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And so Columbus here comes with a lot of stuff. So you see the iconography here just in this image. So you see the gun, of course. You see the gun. So the Europeans brought the guns, obviously. You see the religious, the cross behind one of the men there. So they brought Catholicism. And they brought the banner of the crown, of course. So they came to colonize, without question. And so this is an important part of history. Interestingly, they also brought diseases. And so we fear Ebola now. One person dies, 2 people die. Well, millions of indigenous people were dying by the diseases that the Europeans brought. You probably know that. All right, so when Columbus came, however, there were already a lot of people here. So he didn't found America, as the history books would lead us to believe. Columbus came to a place that was inhabited, and other Spaniards and British and Dutch and Germans came to a place that was inhabited actually in a very healthy way. And so my commentary here, I would like to kind of nuance to the South Texas reality. So you see up here on the map that there were a number of indigenous tribes that were already here when the Spaniards came. So you see the Tamaulipecans, the Coahuiltecans, and other Caranca ones. And in fact, we even know about this from one guy who actually walked through here in the 1520s. A guy who you may recall, the name was Cabeza de Vaca. So Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca actually was marooned in Texas, and he took this route here. He was marooned off of Galveston Bay and then walked with his slave Estebanico. He walked through Texas and then made it during a period of 4 years all the way up to El Paso. Now, when Cabeza de Vaca went back to Spain, he actually wrote a book. And so we see the book today in some classes in schools. But Cabeza de Vaca actually narrated about the rough terrain in South Texas, what would become South Texas. Cabeza de Vaca identified 33 different Indian tribes that he came across. So we know that there were a whole lot of people here. There was a lot of stuff that was happening. And out of Cabeza de Vaca and a lot of other Spanish people who are coming, we have the rise of what we call the mestizaje. So as I look in front of me here, I see a number of mestizos. All of y'all are mestizos in some way. I don't know about you, Mr. Crane. But anyway, these guys are mestizos. You probably are. All right, so
it applies to every
yes,
race.
Of course there are. And so we see the rise of the mestizaje, And then, you know, during the time that Cabeza de Vaca actually walked through here in 1528, 29, and 30, there was also a town here. According to the lore of the Rio Grande Valley, Peñitas, there is, I think, perhaps a little bit more than mythology. I mean, certainly in the narratives of a lot of families, that there was a little community there, Peñitas, that was created by certain people who left Narvaez's army and came and settled down here right on the Rio Grande River. Peñitas doesn't get the kind of, I think, you know, the pronunciation in the narrative of this country as perhaps it should. You know, we know about St. Augustine in Florida. We know about, you know, about Jamestown and some of those places. We don't know a whole lot about Peñitas, except for maybe people in Peñitas. But Peñitas is an interesting case study. We should put some historians to work on this in a serious and rigorous way. It's a fascinating story, I think. Now, understanding this also, that during the time of Columbus and the time that Escandón comes in the 1740s and early 1750s, we have about 200 years of indigenous people intermarrying with the Spaniards. So this is what gives rise to us. So el mestizaje, la mezcla de la gente. This is actually a very, very critical, I think, historical note. Because, you know, there's a lot that comes with that. Now, what we know about Escandón when he came and he brought his people to areas like Reynosa and what is today the Rio Grande Valley, and he brought a good number of people. What we know about Escandón is actually a lot because they were prolific writers. And Escandón's people wrote about this. They said, and time and again, this place here should not be agricultural, they said, because we get very little rain and it's very dry and the levels of evaporation, all that kind of stuff, right? So they said ranching is fine, you can make do with ranching, but do not mount an economy on agriculture. That's what they told us. And they were telling us this over a period of 100 years. We didn't listen to them because we would, first I'll do the Texas Revolt, I'm going to skim over this, but the Texas Revolution of 1836 was precipitated by actually people who crossed the Red River, sin papeles, eh? They crossed the Red River, people like Crockett and Austin and Travis and some of these people, they crossed the Red River and they came into Texas. I mean, they came on business. They were empresarios, they wanted to develop that sort of thing. And so they then led in the revolt. With some Tejanos, they led in the revolt of Texas. It's interesting because we didn't have a border wall for them. They just came in. So as a result of that, 10 years later, we get the U.S.-Mexican War. And so we get, you see up on the map, the annexation of a big swath of land by the U.S. taken away from Mexico. And so we are products of this as well. We are right in the middle of a contested area back in the 1840s. All right, so this place, by the way, was very historical as well because the U.S.-Mexican War started here. So you see Palo Alto, Resaca de la Palma, battles there in 1846. I'm going to move into the 20th century because once the clash happened between the ranchers and the farmers would win out. Once the clash happened, then we had to clear the space for communities. And so you see kind of a famous image here taken by a famous photographer of the early 1900s, Robert Runyon, out of Brownsville. He took this picture here of Desenraizando el Valle. So this is essentially a picture of Mexican men working alongside, you know, their white employers who also, you know, took part in the clearing of the brush. And so what you saw here during a period of about 20, 30 years was the clearing of the brush in South Texas. So we could do this. So we could bring the railroad. And so this is actually the train that came to Edinburgh. You may see there Chapin on the side. And as you know, this is what Edinburgh was called. It was called Chapin. So the railroad comes in, and once the railroad comes in, it's all over. So we have the building of the canal and irrigation system. I haven't confirmed this yet, but they say Godfrey is one of these guys here. 1950. Where's Godfrey? Is Godfrey in the house? No. Yes, if. Okay. Now, this is actually some of the leaders of the Rio Grande Valley who would take part in building the infrastructure, which was a canal and irrigation infrastructure. And so they also had something to say about drainage, but you know, I'll let Godfrey respond to that because he's much more versed than I am. But what you had here is the building of the Rio Grande Valley, the modern day Rio Grande Valley, which of course we know is not a valley. This is not a valley, topographically. This is more of a plain, more of a savanna. But the marketers, the land development companies branded it as a valley, and I think that's instructive. That's important for us to know. because we would mount a whole agricultural industry based on this. The Hidalgo County, or the Museum of South Texas History, has a number of photographs of land parties. We had a number of land parties that came down to the Rio Grande. You know, they were sold a bill of goods that we would have good land here, cheap labor, and good year-round weather. And so this is an image of one of the land parties that would come and oversee this. This is Engelman Gardens right north of Elsa. So what we have is a creation of communities that would be our communities. Now, as we look at, I'm from Elsa, I was raised in Elsa, and so I've done a good amount of research on Elsa. So this is a 1926 advertisement that was sent to the Midwest and across what was South Texas. And so you notice that when the town site was created, it was created much like the design of Washington, D.C. So you see the streets that are kind of angular. It's Pennsylvania and Michigan boulevards leading up to what in Washington, D.C. is the state capital. Is the U.S. capital. In Elsa, it was leading up to Las Bodegas, the Valsim packing shed, interestingly. And so it's the way Elsa was laid out. Elsa was also laid out in a very, very curious way. If you look down at the legend on the bottom right-hand side, this is how Elsa was sold. So it was sold, red tags were in the business lots, white tags were in the residence lots, and the green tags were in the Mexican colony. So, are people laughing at that? Or they're laughing at something else? Okay, all right. I was very curious about that. But you notice here, when Elsa was laid out, this is part of our own Hispanic heritage, by the way. You notice at the top left-hand corner, that was the Mexican colony, tiny little lots. If you actually drive through Elsa today, you see the vestiges of that. And then you see on the other side of the railroad tracks ran right through the middle. The other side of the railroad tracks are more amply spaced lots. So this is, I use Elsa as metaphor as well, because there wasn't a town here in the Rio Grande Valley that was different from this. Maybe with the exception of a place like La Jolla, which was much more integrated and had a much different power base politically. But all the other, wherever the railroad came through, you saw segregated towns. All right, so I'm going to get to now some of the heritage stuff. So this is from the great Mexican muralist Siqueiros. This is one of the things that we know about Hispanic people in this country. We are workers. And it's one of the great legacies that we leave to this country. Hispanics in this country have helped to build the infrastructure, have helped to do the service industry, have helped to build schools, to do all kinds of stuff. So this is undeniable. People come here to work, and I think that it is an enduring legacy of the Hispanic people in this country. The family, and this image by a South Texan artist, Clara Lomas Garza, the family is something that we also contribute to this society. We're not the only group that values family, obviously, but we seem to value family with intensity and with a particular passion. We tend to value religion as well, so this is an artistic image of La Virgen de Guadalupe, but clearly all in the context of family. It is something that this country can learn from, the world can learn from, really. I want to take a look at the numbers here. So today we know, now this is a much more macro look, 54 million Americans today are Hispanic. So that's 17% of all Americans, which is a dramatic drop in really just over a little more in a generation. We were 5% of the population when I was a little boy. We are 17% of the population today. And so if we look at the contributions, we know that Hispanics are intensely loyal. How many stories do we need to hear? The Freddy Gonzalez type stories. We're all over the place in terms of loyalty to this country. We know that we work hard. This is part of the Hispanic legacy. We pick the crops, we build the buildings, we are the teachers, et cetera, et cetera. We have a whole lot of ingenuity and innovation to bring to this country, and we see a lot of examples of that. We bring a whole lot of cultural variables to this country. We even bring the Spanish language, which I have to tell you, Commissioner's Court should be done in Spanish as well. Sí o no, Judge? I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's what I'm doing.
No, we can get
is there like...
We're going to be required to get a translator.
Yeah, well, why not? We got plenty of translators around. And then there's, of course, the demographic reality. We're not like certain countries in Europe that are on the decline because they're not producing enough. This country is viable, robust, and can look at the future with a lot of people because, we have a very young population, the Hispanic population does. So I'm going to end, Judge, with a story. I've taken more time than I need to, but when I was a high school teacher at Calchosa, I used to take kids to visit universities in the Northeast every year. And one day, we were climbing the Statue of Liberty, and we were very close to the crown of the Statue of Liberty. And I was walking up the stairs. This is when the stairs were open. And behind me was a 16-year-old kid from Elsa named Carlos. And so as we were walking up to the statue, Carlos asked me the question, Mr. Guajardo, how many people came through Ellis Island, during the time that, people were coming in? And so roughly, this is like maybe the 1880s to about 1920 or so. And so I told Carlos, I don't know, but I kind of, made up some figures as best as I could remember from the history books. So I told him, several million people came, mostly from European, locations. And then Carlos asked me this question. How many people came across the Rio Grande during that same time period? And how many people have continued to come during that same time period? And I said to Carlos that I didn't know, but for sure it was more. And then Carlos asked me, why don't we have something like this to commemorate all those people who have come across the Rio Grande? Why is it that the way we treat our people from a policy perspective and even from a political perspective is that we do this? When we do judge Hispanic heritage, is this what we want to talk about? This is what we have to talk about, because the heritage of our people in this country is a proud heritage. And yet through policy, we try to keep people out. And so I actually told this story once in a public setting. And there was this one guy in the audience who said, you know what? We should do something about it. I'm going to send you something, he said. And so he drew this. 2 huge hands, a brown and a white hand, along the Rio Grande. And he said, we should commemorate our struggle through some sort of massive monument. Not that it needs to be financed through public money, although the public sector certainly should think about this, but in a way where we recognize the contributions of our people, is what he said. I think it's worth talking about. And Judge, I'm done with my conversation here. Thank you very much.
Doctor, thank you very much for your
I'd be happy to entertain any questions if there are any, because I hate to just hit and run.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Item number 21, I believe A.
A. 21A.
It's a proclamation declaring October the 13th through the 17th, 2014 as Rudy Silva Safe Zone Initiative Week.
Good morning. We've got here with us today Rudy Silva Elementary School Principal Janet Standard and some other representatives. But before we get to that, I just wanted to say that this is something that's brought to you from Precinct Number 1, Commissioner A.C. Flores. That's
Cuellar.
I'm sorry, A.C. Cuellar, sorry.
It's a hybrid.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
En mestizo.
School zones are designed to be low-speed areas in which kids can safely walk or ride a bus to school. And the reason Commissioner Cuellar got involved is because recently at this school, there have been 2 very close calls. One with where 5 children and a grandfather almost were struck down trying to cross the street. So the reason that we're doing this proclamation is to call attention to the fact that this safety in school zones is all of our responsibilities, and we need to take care. And Commissioner Cuellar is working with TxDOT to bring signage and flashing lights. But to say a few words is Principal Janet Standard.
Thank you. Good morning for having us here. We have
morning.
Our Executive Director also for Weslaco ISD, and we're very appreciative of everyone coming together. As she mentioned right now, our school zones are very important, and sometimes too often people come and go, and we have a destination to get to, and we don't stop to think about our environment. So we appreciate that Commissioner A.C. Cuellar and Judge Ramon Garcia have come together to help us make this awareness very important. We know that funding will be looked at, and sometimes we look to funding as a solution to every problem, but most importantly is awareness and the unity of everyone coming together to make this important. So I don't know if you want to say a couple of things, Mr. Salinas?
Judge, thank you for having us here today. Commissioners, on behalf of our superintendent, Dr. Ruben Alejandro, I am Javier Salinas. I'm the executive director for the school district, and we're real thankful, Commissioner Cuellar, for being on page with us and providing a safe zone for all kids, because ultimately we want that for every child here in Hidalgo County. So Judge, members of the Commissioners Court, thank you for taking part in this initiative with Wesco ISD. Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Standard, thank you very much for all your time and concerns, and we're there with you. That meeting that you organized was great. We had a couple of DPS gentlemen there. We had a couple of constables, a lot of parents. We had somebody from a county judge's office, and a lot of parents and your staff. So I want to thank you very much, and we'll do anything that we can to protect all our kids there in all the schools all over the place. So thank you very much, and always feel free to give us a call if we can help with anything.
Thank you.
So we need the motion and for the proclamation.
Move for approval. Second. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Let's go take that photo.
In front and behind.
And anyone from the commissioner's staff?
We're going to be moving on to a public hearing as required by state law. Item number 12E.
Good morning, Judge. Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health and Human Services. Under item 12E, sir, we're having a public hearing today at 10:30 to consider comments concerning the amount of mandatory payment required to be paid by the paying hospitals for the fiscal year 2015 and how the revenue diverted from those payments is to be spent. This is, again, let me explain, we had this hearing 2 weeks ago. However, there was a procedural part that an error made by myself, and we had to redo the hearing under legal counsel's request. This hearing doesn't have anything to do with Proposition 1. This hearing is strictly about the LPPF funding, local provider participation funding that's under Senate Bill 1623 that allows the private hospitals for the counties of Webb, Hidalgo, and Cameron to be able to contribute directly to the county in a form of a fee raised that was collected by our tax assessor's office, and then it is reverted back and multiplied is intergovernmental transfer, or IGT, for 1115 waiver projects and uncompensated care in the county of Hidalgo. So I just wanted to make that real clear so that that's what this hearing is about.
All right, this time we're convening a public hearing. At this time, if anybody desires to make any comments on this issue, one way or the other, now is the time to step forward. No one doing so, we'll be closing the hearing and proceeding on to the next item.
Very good, sir. So under item 2, consideration and possible approval of mandatory payment assessed quarterly by Hidalgo County Commissioners, Hidalgo County Healthcare Funding District. And what we're looking at, you all were given a handout that overviews the whole project and gives an overview of everything. And in the net payment revenue of the Institutional Health Provider Fund will be how the revenue will be diverted. And it'll be diverted for we have 72 different projects or disrupt projects along with uncompensated care, and the funding for that would be used for those areas, sir. Just to give a basic overview, this year for 2015, we're looking at total collection equivalent to $32,289,568, divided out by quarterly installments of $8,072,392, which is in the package you all received. So on item number 2, we need to, there is no action required for item 2, but there is consideration and possible approval, so there's action for item 2, sir.
Move for approval. Mr. Olivares,
Yes.
and the agenda item reads that,
I can't hear you, Mr. Velez, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the agenda item reads that is for the net patient revenue of an institutional healthcare provider, but these are the only ones that are listed here that are participating in this
That's correct.
program?
That is correct, sir. These hospitals that you have indicated on the packet that was given, that is correct, sir. And the revenue is based on, according to state law 1623, the revenue and how it is collected is based on the 2010 net revenue that's collected by each of those hospitals indicated on here, and there's a percentage divided out.
Do we need to add any figures to the motion, or?
Sir, no, sir, not on this.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay. Item 3, consideration and possible approval for Hidalgo County Tax Assessor Collector to collect the mandatory payment required by Hidalgo County Health Funding District.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 4, consideration and approval to assess the mandatory payment annual rate at 2.5300%, 2.5300%, which adds up to $32,289,568 with a quarterly payment of $8,072,392.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 5, consideration and approval to set the quarterly assessment dates of November 30th, 2014, February 28th, 2015, May 31st, 2015, and August 31st, 2015.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Sir, thank you, sir. And I will wait for the other items as they come later, sir.
Mr. Olivares, so those are the due dates. That's when the.
Those are the due dates. We will send you the information prior to the due date so you could process everything, Mr. Euphracio, but the due dates are the ones I gave you.
But these are due dates for the hospitals to pay into the district.
These are the due dates that yes, that's correct.
All right. As
Okay.
far as the transferring of the funds, those are done based on the state's requirements.
Based on whatever and you know how the state works on that, sir. They send you the notice a couple of days before, and that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item 25B, the presentation by our insurance consultant. I know you got to make some travel arrangements, and we apologize for the delay, Gary.
Thank you, Judge.
You passed out the rates? Basically, the judge already read it. It's just a presentation by insurance consultant.
Oh, okay. Judge, Commissioners, good morning. 2 weeks ago, we approved the county increase in the budget for contributions to the medical plan for employees for next year. The one thing we didn't do at that time was approve any changes in plan design or any changes in premium for employees. Fortunately, for this year, for 2015 calendar year, it's not necessary to change any of the plan design. We do not need to alter any of the plan design at this time. We do not need to offer or change the premium allocations for employees, with the one exception. Payroll has asked us to round up the premium numbers in an effort to make it easier to make deductions from the payroll deductions rather than having odd cents. So what we're requesting today is approval of the No plan changes and no premium changes except for the rounding for employees for plan year 2015.
So the fee was rounded from 332.40 to 334?
What's on your
Yeah, according to this here, employee and family, employee contribution, current rate 332.40, and it was rounded up to 334.
This came from, Sergio's office in a rounding.
I was thinking we rounded up to 333 instead of
I think the payroll, that gives us an odd number to deduct against rather than an even number.
All right, any questions? What kind of action do you need from us, Gary?
Just approval of the contributions by employees
mean
for
on
the
two, right?
2015 plan year.
Yeah. Move for approval on 25B2.
Correct.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Just as a brief update, there are two other projects that we're working on currently. One is creating an amendment, a potential amendment to be able to offer retirees of the county health care coverage moving forward after their retirement date with the county. We're also working on a proposal for the county for a wellness program that is more aggressive than what we're doing currently with the WellFit program, but we're in the process of working on those programs right now also.
Judge, remember I mentioned to you about, I've spoken to Letty and Gary about trying to get insurance for our retirees.
Yes.
And what did you come up with, Gary?
We're working on the amendment to provide that currently, Commissioner.
How would it work?
Basically, what it does is it allows an employee who retires with the county under the retiree program for the county to continue insurance coverage under the county's medical plan, under the base plan, as long as they participate in Medicare. If they participate in
But
Plan
they would
A-
pay the total premium back to the county, right?
The premium would be adjusted by the county each year in
Yeah.
relationship to what the expected losses would be in relationship to
Okay,
that
más o
plan.
menos, how much do you think it'll affect on our premium? Not much?
On the county's premium
Yeah.
overall, we got an actuarial report that said they expected it to not increase any cost more than 0.75% for the county overall.
That's not bad, 3/4%.
Overall.
Overall, that's for all the retirees up to the age of what, 80?
Whatever death, up till death.
Yes.
The one thing that is required, though, and is absolutely required, is that they participate under Parts A and B of Medicare.
And the good thing about this is when you reach the age of 66, I believe, Medicaid, and you retire, Medicaid becomes your primary, and your health insurance becomes your secondary.
Correct.
So it wouldn't be that much of a cost to the
And that would
county.
pay for the supplement, the
Yes,
secondary?
it's like a supplement insurance, what I'm
Very
talking about.
What about in between 50, when they retire and 65?
If an individual currently retires with the county prior to age 65, they're allowed to continue the county's plan until they reach the age of 65 and become eligible for Medicare.
Instead of going out and getting a single insurance.
There's no
or-
way they could afford it.
It'll be too much instead of, they'll be together with a group insurance, right?
Yes, sir. And what we're dealing with right now is not only the employee, but how we would treat dependents that were covered at the time that the employee became eligible for retirement.
All right.
So they will get the same rate as the county employee.
You need action on that?
No, sir, we'll bring that back to the court.
All right,
when
sir.
we've said-
Thank you, Gary.
So there's
Thank
no
you.
action on number 3 item?
On number 3, no action, yes. Once we get the plan design ready, we'll bring it back along with the rates for the retirees.
Mr. Cowan, I'm looking for your item. I know you asked me to take you up, but what number is it?
Judge, it's item 7C.
I'm sorry?
7C.
17?
No, item number 7.
7C.
C.
7C.
Correct?
Sounded like it.
So item 7C reads, it's a public hearing to discuss the deregulation of the application of herbicides for a portion of Hidalgo County. Judge, at this time, I would ask that you open a public hearing with
All
respect
right.
to the deregulation.
Why don't you
application.
explain a little bit about what we're doing so that the
Oh,
community
okay.
will know?
All right, Brad, you want to go ahead and give the update? I do have, Martin? Where's Martin? Okay, I just need to make sure that you were in the audience.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
My name is Brad Cowan. I'm County Extension Agent here in Hidalgo County. The reason for the public hearing is to recommend a change in the pesticide laws as they relate to the northwest quadrant of the county. Right now, there's a provision that was set in place in the 1970s, we believe, by the County Commissioners Court at that time, to make a permit requirement for pesticide use, certain pesticides be used in that part of the county. Agricultural interests today, due to changes in modernization of that chemistry and other reasons, recommend that that be rescinded and the rest, and that part of the county be treated the same as the rest of the county in terms of pesticide requirements. So that's the reason for the public hearing.
All right, at this time, we're going to convene a public hearing to discuss this issue. Anyone that desires to make any comment on this issue, please, now is the time to step forward and do so.
I'll get the ball rolling. I don't think we'll have much public, but we would entertain that. I have before you two letters of recommendation for you to adopt this change, Judge. One is from Texas Citrus Mutual, representing citrus growers in the valley, and the other is the cotton and grain producers of the lower Rio Grande Valley. Both these grower organizations recommend adoption of this change. See if there are any other public comments.
Any comments? At this time, we're going to close the hearing and go ahead and proceed to item 7C, number 2.
Thank you, Judge. Item 2 then would be approval and adoption of order to deregulate a portion of Hidalgo County as it relates to the application of herbicides in accordance with Texas Agricultural Code 76.144.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cowan, I have the order. I'll go ahead and get all the proper signatures and forward it over to your office.
Very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right, we're going back to open forum. First presenter is Jim Barnes.
Good morning, Judge
Good morning, sir.
and Commissioners. I'm the president of the McAllen Tea Party. We're quite concerned about taxes, particularly when things don't go as well as they seem to be going. I have 3 issues with the thing on the budget or on the ballot. First one is Senator Hinojosa has promised that he will put a bill capping the hospital district at $0.25, 25 cents in the state legislature. I trust that he will do that. I do not trust the legislature in passing it. I've seen many things that are going to happen in the legislature that don't happen. The second issue I have with it, it's our taxes. It's not the rest of Texas. We need to control it here. If it does pass in the state legislature, how many amendments or riders are going to be attached? We have no idea and we have no control. The third issue I have, and not all Tea Party members will agree with this, But if somewhere 7, 10 years down the road, we decide that 25 cents is not enough of a cap, we got to go back to the legislature. Why can't we just do it here? It's our taxes. We need to keep the control here. So we're recommending that we vote no until we get it right. Thank you.
Next presenter is Virginia Townsend.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
I don't know whose idea it was, where it came from, to put on the ballot the 75 cents, but I was ready to vote for this thing because I would like a medical school and I would like everything that it's going to bring. But when I saw the 75 cents cap, no way. I would never do that. I would have to, no, because if it passes, they'll just come back on us and say, well, it doesn't matter if you expected it to be 25-cent cap later. You voted for it at 75 cents. I would never, never blindly go into something looking like I trusted that they're going to bring it down. No way. I can't do it. I have to tell everybody I know, vote no. That was put on the ballot wrong. They should have brought it down to 25 cents and made it so it was palatable for us. I hope everybody understands. You better not vote for it. We may be hung with that later on. I want to trust. I want to say, no, they'll bring it down. I'm like Jim. I don't know what they're going to do in Austin. I don't know what the other senators are going to say. I don't know. And now, it doesn't have any reflection on Chewy. It's just I don't trust what goes on up there. So I absolutely would not recommend voting yes on that. I don't know. Sorry, thanks.
Out of fairness to the Senator Hinojosa and the hospital district proponents, in the event they don't bring it down, in the event it doesn't happen, then the agreement is, and it requires that nobody who's part of that memorandum of understanding, the county or any of the 4 cities, will ever appoint anyone to that board, so the hospital district will not exist.
Can they force us?
No, because that's part of the agreement. That's part of the, it's a contract. It's called the memorandum of understanding.
So what do they do? What do they do, a writ of mandamus? How can they, I don't trust. You think they can't use legalese to make us do it? No, okay, thanks.
The next presenter is Fern McClarity.
Yeah, y'all always say the voters voted for it, so they wanted it. And I couldn't believe today that y'all almost didn't listen to the AG opinion. Every time I'm up here and something, if we got an AG, we got to abide by what he rules. I am here today, as usual, to question the difference between what you say and what you do. Judge, you always say county taxes will not increase. But during your term, this court has created the RMA. You have proposed a new glass hotel courthouse, and you have placed the creation of a multi-million-dollar hospital district on the November ballot, a forever tax. How is this not raising taxes? The county is in debt, and you raised the minimum wage just because the president suggested it. I could understand if the president requested came with the federal funding, but it did not. The money is coming from the poor people of this county, who I will bet do not make $10 an hour. Do you remember that the county tax attorney said that their firm mailed out 96,783 notices of delinquency, or that for the 7th year, 31% of the property owners could not pay their taxes on time? Judge and commissioners, the people of this county are poor, and it is important that you do not only know that, but that you understand it. It means that this court cannot continue to borrow and spend as if we were all rich. People will lose their homes because of what you're doing. In reference to the hospital district, the people cannot afford to pay an additional 75 cents per $100 value when it goes up. Not if, but when. It will go to that. On a $50,000 home, that would be $375 plus the current bill that you're paying now. On a $100,000 home, it's an additional $750. And if you're lucky enough to live in a $200,000 home, it's $1,500 more than what you're paying. Let us not forget that each one of us is going to pay for health care from the Affordable Care Act. Therefore, each of us is going to pay for both the federal and county health care. Each of these programs require a copay. If you do not pay Obamacare, you will be fined. But if you do not pay Hidalgo Care, you will lose your home. What we are creating for our people is exactly what the veterans currently have, managed health care. There will not be an improvement of quality because there's no competition, no need to improve. They will always be paid. In reference to the medical school, it is currently being built by the state and is being accepted into the Texas University Oil and Gas Finance Program. Any additional funding assistance required can be provided through the commitment made by the city of McAllen, Mission, Farr, Edinburgh, and Hidalgo County. Commissioners, everyone in this auditorium today behind me knows exactly what is happening concerning the hospital district. The private for-profit hospitals in this county use our elected official to lobby and remove the cap from the state constitution. This will allow them to make more money by increasing taxes on the poor. It's all about taking more money from the poor. The signs that you see out there are misleading or just a big lie, whichever one you want to call it. They state for a healthier Hidalgo County. That makes it sound like everyone with health will get health care from the health district, which is not true. The hospitals, yes, they will get richer. The indigent, yes, they will get health care. The politicians, what will they get? Could it be more money in their campaign accounts? What? But last, the rest of the taxpayer gets zero, nothing, nada, just the bill. And I wanted to ask Chewy if he was here, a few questions.
Need to wind it down.
All right, will the indigent get free health care? Who asked you to use your influence to remove the cap? What will the people in the $100,000 house that pay $750 more taxes get? Will there be a requirement that only people from Hidalgo County will get this service? Since Hidalgo County is going to have to pay this tax, are we the only ones that's going to get the service? And again, what happened to the 25-cent cap that was required for the public? So we're supposed to trust. They always say what the voter wants, and that's what it was, is 75 cents. Shame on everyone.
Next presenter is Opal Billman. Ms. Billman?
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. In Hidalgo County, I was sued for divorce in 1996, 18 years ago. During all of this period of time, court records have been edited and updated right from the interior of my home, without my knowledge, presence, or consent, a violation of the Fourth Amendment. The community property of Joe and me that entered the court with a petition for divorce is almost 80 acres of debt-free land with capital improvements. For a divorce settlement, the first court order divided $650,000, 41% to me and 59% to Joe. The money did not exist. It was conjectured value of future rent, which was yet to be earned from our RV park. I appealed this decision to the 13th Appellate Court. The 13th Appellate Court affirmed the lower court's decision with a statement that all other property owned by Joe and me remained owned equally by Joe and me. Then a third court order, signed by a different judge, awarded Joe all of our community property. the real estate and my 41% of the $650,000 so Joe could buy my land with my court-ordered divorce settlement. This judge awarded Joe everything, all of the real estate and all of the non-existent $650,000, and court-ordered Joe to give 41% of $650,000 to a court-appointed beneficiary. Because the money did not exist, a debt was created by the court and inflicted upon our debt-free community property. Therefore, 3 different judges have awarded 3 different divorce settlements. For a divorce settlement, the courts have given us 2 community properties, future rent and real estate, also court-ordered debt. I borrowed no money. The court awarded me a promissory note for 41% of $650,000 plus interest and 18 years of police-enforced false imprisonment. I do not know who or how to pay the promissory note to remove this debt from our debt-free real estate. Compliance with the law when Joe died would have brought closure to this unending, ongoing lawsuit. A 4th court-issued document states that one of the lawyers bought all of our real estate from Joe for the consideration of $10. This is just absolutely not true. Also in this document, the court appointed this lawyer to be my beneficiary. So according to this court document, this lawyer bought Joe's property and inherited mine. That's quite a divorce settlement. I don't believe anyone but me has the right to designate my beneficiary, and I believe it places my life in jeopardy to appoint someone I don't know to profit from my death. The 4th document, this 4th document has been edited and updated within this past week. The only authority the court had was to divide the community property of Joe and me in a fair divorce settlement and return it to us, which would have been as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Obtain an accurate survey. Draw a line through it. Joe, this is yours, and Opal, this is yours. By y'all would have done it 18 years ago. Thank you.
Next presenter is Ramiro Trevino.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners, Senior Administration, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today to relate to you all that I have recently requested some public records on my continued concern of all the county employees who are assigned take-home vehicles. That concern continues, and we will continue to address it. Along having said that, I am also requesting that it's been brought to my attention that several of these county vehicles have GPS tracking system. I'd like to know who's in charge of tracking the vehicles that have the GPS tracking system. Because I know for a fact that there's always been discrepancies as to the tracking system. Who's in charge? What is done after we find these discrepancies? How is it handled with the employee assigned this vehicle that has a GPS tracking system? Those are the concerns that I'm going to continue to bring forth. Finally, I'm also confused today with the appointment of the interim Justice of the Peace to the western side of Hidalgo, and being the following. The resigning Justice of the Peace is on the November ballot, and he has to be kept there. And he's unopposed, so he's going to win. So how much time after the November election is the canvassing going to be held to where a special election has to be brought forth to address that situation? Or is he going to be asked to resign after he wins because he has no opponent? That is my concern as to the proceedings going on here this morning. Because it was evident to everybody that this governmental body was not ready to have this gentleman take the oath as the new Justice of the Peace for that office, because y'all weren't ready for it. So my concern is, how are we getting ready as to how we're going to deal with the November ballot issue over the resigning Justice of the Peace? That is my concern. Thank you.
Next presenter is Edna Garcia.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Edna Garcia. I'm the Assistant Vice President for the South Texas District of Security Service Federal Credit Union, and I'm also a United Way board member and this year's campaign co-chair. And I'm here today to simply thank you for your community leadership and for your support of United Way of South Texas. We're going to be kicking off your campaign in a few weeks, and we're very excited, to be able to do that along with your leadership. We've impacted 281,000 lives already in South Texas, in Hidalgo and Starr counties, through agencies such as the Palmer Drug Abuse Program, Aurora House, through the Boys and Girls Club, Casa de Esperanza, just to name a few. We couldn't do it without you. As we kick off the campaign, we just ask for your continued leadership and support of United Way of South Texas, and we look forward to another very successful campaign year. Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Next presenter is Dave Asher.
Morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm a little scattered on my own time, late to get back to work, so I'm going to have to condense this down into a few points that I'd like to make. When people are faced with financial decisions, which the hospital district really is, it should be and often is a case of affordability. What can people afford? And maybe not well known, and probably is to the proponents of the proposal, is that the McAllen Mission Edinburgh MSA is the third poorest in the country. That's a fact. And according to the paper, The Monitor, that they just put out with their editorial supporting the proposal, they pointed out that Hidalgo County is the highest taxed in the state. And so it makes me wonder, on the one hand, you got the poorest, third poorest MSA. And on the other hand, it's the highest taxed county. And there are those that would add additional tax burden on the taxpayer. I've been doing a lot of reading, and forgive me because I'm a little scattered. I've tried to stay focused, but I'm going to have to get going here quick. Myself, this isn't my job.
Take your time. You got 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Okay. What the proponents and you and others are asking the voter to do is, in effect, based on the cap that's been talked about before, is enter into a contract today and the terms and conditions to be decided later. And I would gladly offer anybody that same deal if they want to give me some kind of proposal today, and I'll decide what the terms are next year. I'd be willing to sign a binding contract for that. I'd like to request somebody, and I don't know if it's the Commissioner's Court and the judge or somebody in this county, to conduct an open public forum with a free exchange of ideas. That has not occurred. What has occurred is the proponents who have the money and the wherewithal to create a PAC funded at $402,000 to make this happen. Now, I may be the only one in this county, but whenever I see somebody that's going to invest $400,000 to make something happen, I'm going to ask why. Okay, sure. The indigent care, the medical school funding, and matching federal funds. But those are already occurring anyway. And I'll get to, because I don't want to run out of time because I can see what's about to happen. So let's talk about, I've submitted a public information request and I haven't been provided any information. I was curious about the language of the ballot, the proposition itself, where it came from. And nobody could give me an answer, but I was referred to the senator's office. And I find that curious, and I did some research. And in Chapter 52, Section 52.072, it reads, propositions, the authority ordering the election shall prescribe the wording of a proposition that is to appear on the ballot. Now, at least I've got emails, and I don't remember their names. 2 people referred me to the senator's office, and I'm curious if the law says that the county is supposed to craft that language, why I'm being referred to the state senator's office. It also says, and this is a minor detail, but you know, statutes and law are about minor details. Further, 52.072 sub B reads, a proposition shall be printed on the ballot in the form of a single statement and may only appear once. Well, if you look at the language of the proposition, there are 2 statements. And more important, and I'll reread 52.072 propositions. This is sub A. Except as otherwise provided by law, the authority ordering the election shall prescribe the wording of a proposition that is to appear in ballot.
Mr. Hester,
Well,
you have a minute.
Okay, thank you. The language is prescribed in law, and it is not what appears on the ballot. If you'll read Chapter 1122, I don't have the section number in front of me, or I probably do. 1122.021 prescribes the language, and it does not include the second sentence with all of the business about the medical school, etc. There is a letter of opinion, number 93-104, which states where the legislature statutorily prescribes, which it does, specific ballot language for an election, the statute should be strictly complied with. And in that same letter of opinion, the Attorney General noted that if there's a concern that there may be confusion, when the language is as prescribed in the statute, it is free and welcome to conduct public forum. That language is inappropriate. It is not in compliance with the law or the statutes. And I assume and was told there's minutes, and I want that on the record. I've been in contact, not that it matters. I mean, you're all the experts, the lawyers and the judge. I've been in contact with the Elections Division of the Secretary of State's office, and I think they're going to concur with me. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Next presenter is Mr. Eddie Olivares.
Judge, just real quick, I just wanted to come up and say it in public. There is no threat of Ebola in Hidalgo County right now. There's been a lot of calls, there's a lot of issues, there's been a lot of fear out there. We're in good shape. Our hospitals are preparing the best they can, are dealing with this, but the reality is we have 28,000 people a year die from influenza-related illnesses in the United States every year. Right now, I encourage everyone to get their flu shot to be able to follow through in keeping our mosquito situation in check, because we got West Nile. There's other illnesses we have that are a lot more threatening than Ebola. So please, I just wanted to bring that forward for clarity. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item number 6B.
Good morning, Commissioners and Judge. Rosalinda Rodriguez. Hi, you can come. On the agenda, we have a proclamation declaring October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This year marks the 25th anniversary of observing domestic violence awareness nationally. While the awareness activities held in communities across the country are varied and as diverse as are the people, they all have common themes: mourning those who have died because of domestic violence, celebrating those who have survived, connecting those who end violence, and educating the general public. And here to accept the proclamation declaring October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Hidalgo County is Ms. Rosalinda Rodriguez, the Community Education Coordinator at Women Together Foundation.
Thank you.
Fine.
Would you like to say? Oh, okay. Thank you, Court, for your support in the county and all the cities. And, well, I'd just like to say that this would be all over if we would help the victims by putting the perpetrators away. But since we can't, legal and all these things, we want to thank you for your support. And if you're interested in any of our programs for this month, you can visit us on Facebook.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Yeah, I was supposed to, I was in the open forum.
You know, I didn't realize there was a second page.
Yeah, there was a second page. Hello, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Dago Chavero. I'm a resident of Precinct 4 in Hidalgo County. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm a resident and father of 4 children and happily married to my wife, Monica. And I'm here concerning Proposition 1. I'm a taxpayer. I live in the county, and I oppose that proposition. And the reason is that we already see a burden on our taxes. I own a home valued over $150,000. I work hard for my money. My wife works hard for her money. But I think we need to look at other issues that need fixing. More importantly, the per capita income that our residents are averaging. We're making $14,000 a year, which is ridiculous. We need to invest in bringing more business over here to South Texas and not just focusing those funds on one industry, which is the health industry. It is sad for me to see Mr. Olivares meeting with DHR and calculating the numbers as to how many indigent people will be increased and added in order to get those funds to DHR. It's sad. I personally, without getting any monies or loans, invested $2,000, and within 3 months, I brought in $250,000 to this economy, to the residents of Hidalgo County and Cameron County. There's ways to do it and not just focus on the funds being placed for the medical industry. My parents, my mom worked for more than 25 years in Levi Strauss. My dad was a cook at first, Casa del Taco. Never once did we receive food stamps. My dad to this day still mows lawns as a second income for him because he's looking for his future. We got to focus on making sure our people are working, getting jobs to them, and not just focusing on one industry, the health industry. I know Mr. Chuy Hinojosa personally, very personally. And one thing I can tell you is that he has failed the people from here, from the valley. Go ask the pharmacists who are closing their stores or selling their stores. Why? Because you have CVS coming down, and they're lowering the prices and the money that they're making. Nowadays, it's no longer beneficial to have a pharmacy next to a pediatrician's office. Go ask him. Go ask Richard's Pharmacy. Go ask Med-Aid Pharmacy. What's the reality? You have banks that are no longer seasoned vehicles because the people cannot pay their vehicles. They're 5-6 months overdue, and they don't pay. They don't go pick them up. You know what they tell the wrecker? Find a way to refinance them. I'll give you a commission for that. That's the reality And I wish all of y'all would step out of your suits and go walk the streets and talk to the people. I'm a small business owner. I work hard. I work more than half a days, 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, and take care of 4 kids, 10, 8, 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I have to be there for my wife. It might be only $80 a year that I have to pay, but that $80 will go to a vacation that I can go drive to the island, pay my gas for $30, come back, and maybe enjoy a good meal. Let's just not focus on keeping the money for the medical industry. Let's diverse those funds. There's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity here. We have a great workforce. I talk to people from San Antonio. They say we have the best workforce here in the Valley. They don't want to hire people from San Antonio or Louisiana. They want to hire people from the Valley because they work hard. That's our work ethic. And you know that, Mr. Tito Palacios, that we have worked hard for many years. That's all. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.
Next presenter, Maria Champion.
Good morning. Please, can everybody look over here because you're, I guess, sending emails or something. Just listen to me. This Proposition 1, County Proposition 1, is a scam for the taxpayer. It is a scam for the taxpayers in Hidalgo County. Why? Because you're lying us. You're lying to us. In the ballot, it says 8 cents, open to 75 cents. So you're leaving the gate open to do whatever you want with the taxes. How come with the taxes we are paying right now, we're paying 2.8% per every $100 we pay? It comes to $2,800 for a 100,000 house. If you give us the increase, it's going to go up to 3.55, which is 26, almost 27% increase in our property taxes. Mr. Ramon Garcia was on the radio 6 months ago fighting with the banks because people were losing the money from the mortgages. What about the people who are losing their homes from the property taxes? I am in the rental business and people are coming crying. They are losing their houses. They cannot afford the taxes as they are right now. And you have the bright idea with Chuy Hinojosa and his compadres to increase the taxes? What are we going to do? You want all our money? You want to bleed the people of the county? Are you kidding? I've been posting papers door by door. I've been talking to people, telling them no to vote no for county proposition. People are afraid. I know this is Halloween time. I know you have to disguise, and you are disguising right now with your ad about healthy Hidalgo County. What do you mean healthy? Paying for somebody else's expensive education, doctor's career is very expensive. I used to live in Guadalajara, and the students from the medical school in San Antonio used to go and study 2 years in Guadalajara, and they left the city never to come back. And that's going to happen. This is the same here. People from other counties, other cities, other countries will come for the free ride for the medical school. That's what's going to happen. And us, we are going to foot the bill for them. And then when we went in the services, they're going to be as expensive because the doctors are in it for the money. They are not in it for the community help. Thank you.
All right, next item is item number 6C.
Good morning again.
Morning.
October, as you know, is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This year, approximately 40,000 individuals are going to die from breast cancer in the United States. There are several known factors, but there's a lot of prevention that can be done as well. So here to accept this proclamation declaring October 2014 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month is Marcos Liscano, the Government Affairs Director at DHR, and Priscilla Berones. Would you like to say a few words? Okay, so we just need a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I'd like to invite everyone wearing pink to come on up and take the photo with these individuals when we do the
You can
proclamation.
do it right here. Julie.
Okay.
I was wearing pink, now I'm wearing blue.
Superman. Superman.
Would like to join them after this first picture?
Dale, Mario.
Bingo. Look, my pink. Your face is pink.
Mona. It's so bright. Okay, everybody wearing pink, please come on up, men and women.
Everybody wearing pink. Pink. Jesse. Where?
Hablan y se van. Ya no le damos. Para los viejitos. Dale, Mario. Julie, who's going to handle the next one? We got to move on it. E. All right, discussion, item number 6E. Why don't we move it to next week then?
We'll take no action on 6E.
Yeah, go ahead and, you want to wait until next week on E and F?
Yeah, we'll take no action on F as well, but Michael Leo will be submitting to the commissioners a preliminary draft of some items that the departments had asked for, but we can discuss it as.
We can discuss it next week.
Yes.
We're running a little short on
All right,
time.
thank you, sir.
All right, Valde, item number 7.
Judge, no action, items 7A, 1 and 2. Judge, item 7B, because we are pressed for time, no action. We'll have a presentation at the next court. We've taken action, item 7C. I'm asking the court on item 7D to accept the settlement check from Texas Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company in the amount of $11,238.75, and this will settle an auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. The next item is for the Sheriff's Office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Gabriel Castañeda for Sheriff Eddie Guerra. Item 8A, authorization and approval to deobligate $19,436.78 of Sheriff's Office Operation Stone Garden 2013 in overtime fringe mileage funds and allocate to Constable Precinct 2.
Move for approval.
Commander, has this been approved by the grantor agency?
Excuse me?
Has this action been approved by the grantor agency?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you.
All right.
Move
we
for
have-
approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I know
Item
we're gonna
8B.
get the sheriff.
Number 1, approval of Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, OCDEF, agreement between Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office and the Drug Enforcement Administration, McAllen District Office, Houston Division, Office, OCDEF Strike Force Group D81.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item number 2, approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for the OCDEF grant contract.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Number 3, approval to appropriate OCDEF grant award in the amount of $15,800 in reference to investigation number SWTXS 0968.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item C, pursuant to Hidalgo County Cellular Telephone Policy, AT&T DIR SDD 1777, presentation for consideration, acceptance, and approval of cellular phone request form, Data Connect card request for the following: approval for requisition number 265175 for 20 Data Connect cards at $37.99 each per month.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Can you tell the sheriff if he would please come in? Sir. The sheriff is outside, if he would please come in. Oh, he went back up. This time, we're going to take a short recess. It's 11:30. We've been going for 2.5 hours. It's a 10-minute break. All right, we're going to be reconvening our meeting this morning. And at this time, we will move on to item number 9, our constable.
Judge, good morning, commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Armando Campos for Constable Martin Cantu. We have one item, item 9A, A146783, authorization and approval to appropriate the $19,136.78 of the Sheriff's Office Operation Stone Garden 2013 for overtime, French, mileage funds, and allocate to Constable Precinct 2. Stone Garden is aware of this change, Mr. Ofracio.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, commissioners, thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, our next item is still under the constable's office, but for precinct 3.
Item 9B.
Judge, Commissioners, Rene Gonzalez, Chief Deputy for Constable Precinct 3. Today we have the 1033 surplus program. A discussion, consideration, approval for Constable Precinct 3 to apply for the Texas 1033 surplus program.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Authorization and approval for the county judge as authorized official to sign the required documents.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Authorization and approval to participate, select, receive equipment under Texas 1033 surplus program with selection list to be submitted prior to receipt.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 9C.
Judge, good morning, Commissioners. Judge, Commissioners, this is on CA1-46792, Constable Precinct 4. Approval to appropriate Operation Stone Garden grant funds transferred by the Sheriff's Office for mileage in the amount of $6,000. A federal grant award, SSA award, grant period from 9/1/2013 to 2/28/2015.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Next, line item A1-46845, Constable Precinct Number 4. Discussion and consideration approval to appoint Armando Rivas as a deputy constable by Constable J.R. Gaitan, myself, Constable Precinct 4, in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code Section 86.011.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Judge, Commissioners, the next action item is under the JP for JP Precinct 5. This is keeping in accordance with our exiting officials expenditure policy. There is a total expenditure request of $932.86. And again, this is for Justice of the Peace Training Seminar.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And Judge, Commissioners, I know that we're pressed for time. Item 11 is for HR. And Esther, if I may, it's a maintenance cleanup, delete and create. It is a total washout, and it still keeps with the maintenance office, or the maintenance. There is, right, the vacancy, yes. So it's delete and create, maintenance 5, delete, create, heavy equipment operator 2, as well as the approval of the revised salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Eddie, I think Eddie's got everything done?
Yes, sir. Sir, if we could just go through each section and I'll read them, and then we'll just act on it, if that's
Please.
okay?
Why
Right.
don't you do them all at the same time so we can move on?
Very good. Requesting item 12A and is requesting approval to accept the Preparedness and Prevention Community Preparedness Section Grant 2015-047253-001 in the amount of $140,730 for a period of October 1, 2014 through June 30th, 6/30/2015. Number 2 is requesting approval for the county judge to sign certification regarding lobbying statement. Number 3 is requesting approval for the county judge to sign the Fiscal Federal Funding and Transparency Act certification. 4 is requesting approval of the certification revenue in the amount of $127,937. Number 5 is requesting approval of the budget appropriations in the amount of $127,937 and a grant fund, and $12,793 in local match has been appropriated by the budget office.
Move for approval. Check.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, sir, is requesting approval to accept the Health Promotions and Chronic Disease Prevention Grant 2015-047239-001 in the amount of $50,000 for a period of 10/1/2014 through 9/30/2015. Item 2, requesting approval for the county judge to sign the Fiscal Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act certification. Number 3 is requesting approval of the certification revenue in the amount of $50,000. Number 4 is requesting approval of the budget appropriations in the amount of $50,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Letter C is requesting approval for the amendment to the interlocal agreement with Donna Independent School District. The amendment will change the food handler class fee from $10 per employee per year to $20 per employee for 2 years.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D is requesting approval of the certification of revenue by county auditor in the amount of $77,071.60. Funds are from the Health and Human Service Commission Medicaid Administrative Claiming Reimbursement. And item 2 is requesting approval to appropriate the MAC budget in the amount of $77,071.60.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D, sir, we already took care of. Item F is requesting approval to accept the supplies conveyed by the Texas Department of State Health Services for the John Austin Peña Center. Item 2 is requesting approval to accept the equipment conveyed by the Texas Department of State Health Services for the John Austin Peña Center. And item 3 is requesting approval to accept the appraisal of the John Austin Peña Center as appraised by Hidalgo County Appraisal District.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Sir, there's no action on item G or H.
Thank you. Next item, adult probation.
Judge, I'll go ahead and read the item for adult probation. Item 13A, items 1, 2, and 3, is approval to accept the Veterans Court Grant in the amount of $92,481.97 for the grant period as listed on the agenda, with certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor, and appropriation of those funds, again, in the amount of $92,481.97.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 13A, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the DWI court grant, is approval to accept the DWI court grant in the amount of $157,101.12 for the grant period as listed on the agenda, with certification of revenues as approved by the county auditor's office, and appropriation of those funds, again, the amount of $157,101.12, and approval to, actually, Judge, if I can have those items 1, 2, and 3 approved, and then I'll read 4 separately.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Items 4 and 5 is approval to decrease the supplemental pay allowance for the following employee, which is an assistant DA 4, for the amounts listed on the agenda, with approval of the revised salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Again, item A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the the reentry court grant is a ratification of application for the reentry court program grant from the Office of the Governor, and approval to accept the reentry court grant award in the amount of $150,000 for the grant period listed. Also, with the resolution to designate the authorized official for the grant, and approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor, and appropriation of those funds in the amount of $150,000.
Move for approval.
Who's the authorized official, Mr. Cruz, you know?
For that grant, I believe it's the DA's office.
Mike. Go ahead, sir.
Approval of items 6, 7, and 8 is approval of authorized supplemental pay for the following employee, Assistant DA 4, slot number 0013, in the amount of $9,752, as well as the approval of the interdepartmental transfer and the approval of the revised salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item. Emergency management.
Belinda Alvarez, Deputy EMC for Emergency Management. 14A, requesting authority to submit a letter of request to the Texas State Hazard Mitigation Section, Texas Division of Emergency Management, Texas Department of Public Safety, for an extension to the Texas Safe Shelter Initiative Safe Room Project Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, DR 1791-331, for an additional 12 months to complete the project.
And the request for approval for the judge to sign.
Right, item
Move
number
for
2.
approval, 1 and 2.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Urban County.
Judge, Commissioners, our first item on the agenda is requesting the acceptance and approval of a work authorization number 1 for contract between Hidalgo County and Millennium Engineers Group under contract C-14-309-0909 with an estimated cost of $2,972 for a project in Precinct 1.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, Judges, requesting the authorization for your signature.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Work them together.
Yes, sir. Item 16B is requesting the approval and acceptance of the work authorization number 2 between Hidalgo County and Millennium Engineers in the amount of $13,171 for a project in Ola Blanca Road, and 2, requesting the authority for the judge to sign the required documents.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries as to 1 and 2.
Item C is requesting the approval of land acquisition parcel number 1 for the Delta Area Connector East Lateral Project for the East Lateral.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D is requesting the approval to execute a fiscal year 2013 home shoulder agreement in the amount of $300,000 with Proyecto Azteca.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
D2 is requesting the approval to execute a 2014 home shoulder agreement with Proyecto Azteca in the amount of $400,000.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E is requesting the approval of a home shoulder contract in the amount of $100,000 for Affordable Homes of South Texas.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
E2 is requesting the approval to execute the 2014 contract between the Urban County Program and Affordable Homes of South Texas in the amount of $250,000.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F is a request on behalf of Precinct 1 requesting authority to purchase picnic tables for the Sunrise Sunset Park through the Hidalgo County's membership participation with Buy Board with the Plague Well Group in the amount of $10,035.28.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item G is a request on behalf of the City of San Juan requesting consideration and action to award a contract and to award and enter into a contract with Texas Cordia Construction LLC in the amount of $415,987 for a street improvement project. The City of San Juan will also contribute funds for this project.
For approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item H is on behalf of the City of Penitas requesting approval and award of best and final negotiated contract with Alcocer Garcia and Associates in the amount of $32,960 for a Parks and Recreational Facility project.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The final one is also a request on behalf of the City of Penitas requesting approval and award of best and final negotiated contract with South Texas Infrastructure Group in the amount of $24,483 for a street improvement project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 16, our Elections Office.
Good morning, Amanda Valdez for Ivan Ramon. Item A, approval of full contract for election services between Hidalgo County and the Hidalgo Independent School District for their election to be held November 4th.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Approval of full contract for election services between Hidalgo County and the Donna ISD for their election to be held November 4th, 2014.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Approval of full contract for election services between Hidalgo County and the City of Westaco for their election to be held on November 4th.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 17, our AgriLife Service. Valde? Well, let's move on to item 18, our Head Start.
Good morning. We have item 18A, and it's discussion approval of a budget amendment for 2014. As you know, our program is a federally funded program, and we must use all the funding that we get, and so we have an amendment for $785,965 for different areas, materials for the classroom, for school readiness, upgrading of computers, surveillance cameras, and we are buying one bus and one maintenance van in that budget amendment, and we are requesting approval for it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. The second item has to do with the approval and appointment of one community representative by each member of the Commissioners Court to serve on the Hidalgo County Head Start Program Policy Council for a one-year term according to 45 CFR Chapter 1304.50B1-B7, beginning October 2014, pending appointment of community representatives. We still have Judge Garcia, Commissioner A.C. Cuellar, and Commissioner Palacios. So if any of you have an appointment, we would
I'll
like
have
to-
somebody by next week. I'm sorry I'm delayed.
Likewise.
Eva Watts, I'm going to reappoint Eva Watts.
Eva Watts, okay. So Commissioner Cuellar, so the appointment has to be approved by the commission.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Erica, write it down so we can have a name.
Ahora olvidé.
All right, our WIC program.
Margarita Gonzalez on behalf of Norma Longoria. Agenda item 46840, requesting approval to process payment to the City of Roma in the amount of $200 for the deposit of the commercial water account for the Roma WIC Clinic, 2891 East Grant, Roma, Texas, with the authority for County Treasurer to issue check after review and processing procedures are completed by the County Auditor.
Second.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
That's same.
Item 20, planning.
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners, Goldstein, Planning Administrator.
Find out about.
Item is reimbursement financial guarantee. If you like, the court, I can just read them all for the record and hold them collectively. Is that okay?
Yep.
Just for the record, I'll read. The first one's Flamingo Ranches subdivision, reimbursement of $3,000. And all the reimbursements are for the on-site sewage facilities that have been installed and inspected by the Health Department and signed off by my department as well. Palace Station Phase 2, a reimbursement of $1,000. Falcons Nest Phase 1, a reimbursement of $1,000. Valley's Estate subdivision, reimbursement of $1,000. MGM Grand, reimbursement of $850. Hatfield subdivision Phase 2, a reimbursement of $5,000. Mirage Ranches, a reimbursement of $10,500. Area Ranches, a reimbursement of $4,500. Sendero Trails, a reimbursement of $1,000. And last, Vista Ridge, Acres Number 1, reimbursement of $6,000. As I mentioned, everything's been inspected. It's in order for reimbursements.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item 22.
Raúl.
Next.
Duerme, dice.
Good afternoon, Judge Commissioners. Raul Silguero, Precinct 2. Commissioner Palacios, item A is appointment of a board member to the Tropical Texas MH&R Board. I don't know if we have a...
No action.
No action okay. Item B is approval of interlocal agreement between the City of San Juan and the County of Hidalgo, Texas for the reconstruction, improvement of 5 roads in the City of San Juan described in Exhibit A attached. We need approval of the interlocal agreement, please.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And
Sir?
for the record, this is for a fixed amount, it's not...
Yes, sir, the project calls for the city to contribute a fixed amount of dollars, and we will invoice them after the projects are completed. There's a fixed amount for each project listed on the exhibit. Item B is in accordance with Section 791.014 of the Texas Government Code, requesting approval of the interlocal cooperation agreement, projects to reconstruct, improve Cesar Chavez Road, Moore Road, Sioux Road, and I Road, approximately 3,500 east of Raul Longoria, Eldora Road, and Raul Longoria and Olana Loop, from Raul Longoria to Cesar Chavez as listed on the exhibit.
Mr. Seguero, and also this project will not include any condemnation or acquisition of right-of-way, right?
There will be no acquisition of right-of-way required? Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Mingo, está listo.
Don't hold it in, Mingo.
Yeah, good morning, Judge, Commissioners. How about those damn Cowboys? Eh?
Drop the ball.
Item 23A, approval of interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County and the City of Granjeno.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And that is to mow and clean the weedy lots, right, Mr.?
That's right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mingo.
For Precinct 4, Judge number 1 and 2, approval of interlocal cooperation agreement between the County of Hidalgo and Edinburgh CISD to construct a public park known as Brewster Park and approval of the ICA project in accordance with Texas Government Code 791-791.014.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge
Under
Commissioners, if I could
budget-
go
The
back.
1 and 2, Judge?
Yeah, one and two.
1 and 2, yes. Go ahead,
If
sir.
I could go back to 17A for the Texas AgriLife Extension Service. This is the approval to amend the employment commencement date for employee Joanne Ureste from October 23rd, 2014. She will now begin employment October 15th, tomorrow, 2014. I can have approval of that.
What item is that?
That's 17A.
17A.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And 25C1 is approval of 2014 appropriation of funds for the Texas AgriLife Extension Service in the amount of $3,056.38. And this is from tax notes, Fund 1302.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, I still think.
Good morning, Marty.
26A1, this is presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commission Court of the responses received, graded and evaluated in connection with RFP number 344, which was Architectural Consulting Services Design and Construction of the Hidalgo County of a courthouse and judicial buildings. This was on the schematics that exist for the, as I said, for the construction in the courthouse. We had 27 packets requested. We have 5 responses. Your grid as attached will show Broadus and Associates, average score 86, ERO 49, HOK 97, PGAL with 90, and ROFA with 89. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in, the number 1 is which one?
HOK.
HOK. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We're requesting authority for purchasing to enter and start negotiations with the number 1 ranked firm of HOK.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is acceptance of donation of computers and monitors
just a minute.
as further.
Marty, just a minute.
You don't reach agreement, you go to the second one on the listing.
When you
On the-
negotiate.
In accordance with the scores, it would be, number 1 would be HOK, number 2 would be PGAL at 90, number 3 would be ROFA at 89, number 4 would be Broadus at 86, and number 5 would be ERO at 49.
And the grid is attached?
The grid is attached, yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, going on to item 2, accept the donation of computers and monitors as further described and detailed in the Exhibit A from the Appraisal District through correspondence attached to Hidalgo County, including all the supporting documentation.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Marty,
Item
while we were at it, remember Mingo Richard Walsh came in and said they had about 100 computers to donate to the county?
Oh, great.
Remember that?
We've started,
Bingo.
we've already
¿Te
earmarked
acuerdas o
some
no
of
te
those.
acuerdas? Richard Walsh came in and said he had about 100 computers to donate to the county?
Yeah.
I called
Yes.
Valde.
If he
Commissioner,
can-
and Stan, do you want to, just real quickly, the update?
25 Mac computers, Commissioner, 25. I spoke to Mr. Walsh about 2 weeks ago. They're trying to clean them out and get the okay from California.
All right.
Okay, once we get that, then we would come back, because we have to place a value
You go
on that,
through
then
the-
we come back to Commissioner's
Yes.
Court. But yes, Commissioner, we are still working on that.
Okay, item 3, this is A, approval to declare the items listed in Exhibit A as surplus for the purpose of sale through the scheduled auction of 11/5/2014.
Move for approval.
Second.
B, if no.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
If no bids received, then pursuant to 263-151, I think it's L, and/or 263-152A, Commissioners Court proceed to order any of the property be destroyed or otherwise disposed as worthless if they prove to be not sold.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C is requesting authority to publish the advertising for the auction of the surplus equipment and vehicles scheduled for November 5th.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 4, this is presentation for the purpose of award by Commissioners Court, the sole responsible vendor submitting the best and lowest bid as detailed in the tabulation sheet. We had 11 packets requested, one bidder submit, that's FCC Environmental from Springtown, Texas. This is for the pickup of used oil filters and antifreeze.
Again.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Item 5A is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements. Texas Local Government Code 262-024A7, a proprietary software.
Approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item B is approval to purchase through purchase orders and agreements, if applicable, online research services with LexisNexis for law library and constables.
Approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries.
B1 for Precinct 1. This is action to rescind the approval taken on August the 12th, 2014 on agenda item 45877 and cancel PO 713. And I apologize because my printer, whatever it's on the agenda, the amount of $27,911 instead of no Creative Concepts, inasmuch as they do not meet specs.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And we're requesting the purchase of 6 roll-off containers with Waste Quip Manufacturing Company, meeting all the specifications through by Board TASB awarded vendor under contract number 425 in the amount of $28,370.
For approval.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item C for Precinct 2, starting with 1A, recommendation by Project Engineer Raul Cecin, PE, with Hidalgo County Planning Department, for an award to the responsible vendor submitting the lowest best bid, meeting all specifications and requirements for the equipment and maintenance facility on-site civil improvements concrete work, and that is to RDH Site and Concrete in the amount of $75,549.90.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item B is pursuant to Local Government Code 262-031, and in the interest of expediting the project's progress, requesting authority and approval for Precinct 1 or designee, historically Raul Silguero, unless otherwise changed by the Commissioner, to execute change orders that involve an increase or decrease in cost of $50,000 or less.
For approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
2 is acceptance and approval of the construction contract documents for Hidalgo County Precinct 2 Roadrunner subdivision paving and drainage improvements to Texas Cordia in the amount of $405,928, subject to legal counsel's final review and approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
3 is acceptance of a donation of an asset, a vehicle, as further described and detailed in the exhibit attached here to by the Urban County Program and transferred to Precinct 2 with all other applicable documentation included.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item 4 is requesting acceptance and approval of work authorization 5 with an estimated cost of $27,681 as submitted by R. Gutierrez Engineering to provide preliminary engineering, topographic surveying, final design and construction plans developments for Lopezville Park project.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Requesting acceptance and approval of work authorization 6 with an estimated cost of $3,350 as submitted by R. Gutierrez Engineering to provide services in developing of a survey plat and meets and bounds for a detention pond to be located north of Precinct 2's multipurpose complex on Hall Acres Road.
Approval. Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item D1 is for Precinct 3, approval to execute a lease of land agreement as approved as a sole source back on December 20th, 2011 with Jose Ramirez Jr. for the purposes of landfill access at Benita's Landfill under the TCEQ permit for municipal solid waste 1727.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
E1, Precinct 4, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements, 262-024A4, a professional service.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of the firms that graded and evaluated. Those were Dos Logistics at 99, Lefevre at 96, and LN, I can't see the printing, at 95. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item C would give purchasing authority to commence negotiations with the number one ranked firm of Dos Logistics.
Move for approval.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item 2A, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements, 262-024A4, a professional service.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of those firms graded and evaluated. We have 3 firms, 2 of them having the same number. That is Dos Land Surveying with 98, Aranda and Associates with 96, and ROW Surveying at 96. If you will permit me a moment here so that we can pick.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion.
And that would be just to rank number 1, and you're going to get to rank number 2 and 3 in just a second.
Échalo.
La mano bendita. Close your eyes, Marty.
Este.
That'll be 2. 2 will be Aranda. 3 will be ROW.
Go.
All right.
2 is Aranda and 3 is ROW?
Yes, Aranda is 2, ROW is 3. Going to item, and we had taken action, correct?
Right.
All right, item C would be authority for purchasing to commence to negotiate with the number 1 of Dos Land Surveying.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item 3 is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A4, a professional service.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries.
Item B is presentation of the scoring grid, which only has one firm, because there's only one firm on the pool that does review appraisal services, and that is HLH Appraisal Services. They are qualified to proceed.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Authority for purchasing to negotiate a professional review appraisal services contract with HLH Appraisal
Move for
Services.
approval.
Second.
There's a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item 4 is presentation for the purposes of award by Commissioners Court multiple responsible vendors submitting lowest and best bids detailed in the tabulation sheet. This is for aggregate limestone grade 4. There were 8 packets distributed, 3 bidders, 2 are being recommended for award. Frontera and Estacio Rubio DBA Delta Aggregate.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item 5 is acceptance and approval of the closing documents as identified and attached hereto, prepared by legal counsel for land exchange for Hidalgo County with Guerra Brothers Master Partnership, including authority for the county judge to execute all applicable documents.
Move for approval.
There's a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item F1 for WIC, presentation of the sole bid received is detailed in the tabulation sheet contained. There were 2 packets requested, We had one bidder, and that is GBB Rentals at $1 a square foot for 4,000 square feet. And this is in the city of Alamo.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Item 2, as presented through WIC program, requesting Commissioners Court to accept and approve A, invoice number 4184 in the amount of $1,790, I believe is what it tabulates to, identified and attached and detailed herein to travel advisors in connection with travel taken in September of 2014.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
B is final travel expense reimbursement for the following WIC program director and staff in connection with travel taken in October, and that is Norma Longoria, $78, Esther Carrizales, $78, and Diana Cardona at $156, for which no requisition was submitted nor POs processed, including authority for the treasurer to issue payments after all processing procedures are completed.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item G1, this is acceptance and approval to execute a final form of professional construction management agreement with Prodigy Construction Management for the roof and/or and AC repairs and/or replacements for the Adult Detention Facility and Law Enforcement Center project as approved for such
Second.
by the court.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item H1, and this is for the district attorney, requesting that Hidalgo County Commissioners Court take action to declare surplus for the purposes of destruction 3 hard drives with no value and further detailed in the documentation attached in Exhibit A.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And B would be requesting authorization to remove said assets from the Hidalgo County inventory list.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael?
There is a need to go into executive session,
Second
Commissioner.
session or no?
Take-
Got it?
Yeah.
Yes, there is a need to go into executive session.
You are here.
Move for approval.
Second.
And so for the record, Commissioners, we are going into closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, and the sections are 551.071, 551.072. And this.
It's 1:13, we're back in open session. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, under open session, 28A, real estate acquisition appropriation for same. There's no action. We'll just continue our process. 28B, pending and or potential litigation. There's no action. 28C, civil action number 713-CB-00262, Ezequiel C. Jurado et al. Versus Guadalupe Trevino Sheriff, Hidalgo County and Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I'd like for the court to entertain a motion to take action on a settlement, a tentative settlement agreement with one of the plaintiffs, Mr. David Garza, in the amount of $22,000.
Move for approval.
David Garza.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Ufrasio, as always, I'll make sure that all the appropriate paperwork is sent over to your office. Item 28D, Reynaldo Ibarra versus County of Hidalgo. We'll just proceed. We'll continue to monitor the case. Item 28E, Eugenia Andrade versus Hidalgo County. Judge Commissioners, I'd like to refer to items 7A1 and 2. 7A1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code. Section 262.024A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. I got a motion to that effect.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
7A2, I'm asking requesting engagement with the firm of Atlas Hall and Rodriguez for the provision of legal service representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit a letter of engagement.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And Judge Commissioners, just for the record, on Eugenia Andrade versus Hidalgo County, we have moved on from the EEOC stage to the suit stage. To the suit stage, lawsuit stage, I'm sorry. Item F, there is no action. We'll just proceed as directed. Item 28G, claim of Lucinda Martinez. Judge Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $301.55.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
28H, claim of Jacob Garcia. I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $501.14.
Approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
28I, claim of Sylvia Perez Armendaris. Judge Commissioners, I'd like settlement authority to make an offer in the amount of $150.
Approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
28J, claim of Sergio Valdez. Judge Commissioners, I'd like to refer back to items 7A1 and 2. 7A1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4, a professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 7A2, I'm requesting engagement with the firm of Atlas Hall and Rodriguez, specifically Mr. Rex Leach, in connection, for provision of legal service representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit a letter of engagement.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Yes, Atlas Hall and Rodriguez, but with Mr. Leach. Judge Commissioners, I do not believe that there's any more action items on the agenda.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.